Hello, Lynn. Welcome to the April 26th school committee meeting and school choice public hearing in the Neshoba Regional School District. Tonight we have our school choice public hearing. Can somebody close the door, please? Thanks. Our school choice public hearing, not to anybody who wants to come in though. Every year, if the district has to make a decision on whether or not we're going to open up any slots in the school, in any of the school, in the district, in any of the schools, to accept school choice students. And we do have a policy on this, it's policy JFBB. And the policy stipulates that the administration determines if there are spots. If there are spots, the administration will let us know, and then we make a decision based on whether or not we're going to move forward and open up any school choice spots for non-residents. So my question to the superintendent is,
well, this is my perspective right now, and I'm happy to have further discussion with our group. So I would first of all put on the table that generally, philosophically, I'm not opposed to school choice. So philosophically, I would want that to be known. In our case right now, when I take a look at this last year and I look at the work that we've done on the budget, where we're heading, the fact that you just made the decision last year not to do school choice, I would strongly encourage that you consider going at least one more year of not doing school choice before you open this door for further discussion. In part, I know that we've brought this up before. We talked about the fact that we've had some limited, Pat and I have had some limited conversation with Steve Hammond, Dr. Hammond on this very topic. And if we bring it back on stream, if that ultimately is the wish or the will of the school committee, then I think we would want to be very cautious and we would want to be very calculated in how we do it. And we are not there right now. So it's not that I don't support school choice. I do. I just don't feel that right now we are in a strong enough position to say, yes, we can open our doors. The other thing I would say is right now, we don't have a lot of gaping holes here that I can honestly say, you know what, in Bolton, I happen to know that we've got 5 seats here. We're not in that place right now. So I think for a myriad of reasons, I would strongly encourage that you stay your course for at least one more year. Let us play this out. Let us see what happens throughout the course of the next year, and then come back and do a revisit next year at this time. So that would be what I would recommend right now.
do we have any residents, anyone in the audience who has any comments, questions? No? School committee members?
I have a humble comment.
Okay, humble.
In my view, the high school is over capacity by about 100 people. And in my view, we should wait 8 to 10 years to get all of our school choice people out of the system, and until we can find out whether our district is going to grow with new housing, it's likely to figure out whether we actually have the capacity at the high school to cope with out-of-district kids. So in my view, I'm in favor of keeping school choice closed for some number of years in the future.
Okay.
And we, as a policy subcommittee, met and made the recommendation not to open it up for next year.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay. Neil?
I actually agree with both Brooke and Mark in perspective with relation to the high school. We need to understand what we're doing before we can open the doors and, you know, say we're going to have X, Y, or Z. We may have, I mean, if we go to a build, it may be a much smaller school that we end up with, which really would obliterate that. And then on the same side, we need to have a serious conversation with Dr. Hemmon or some really key experts. Dr. Hemmon's one of the people that have written a lot of fiscal legislation, co-wrote a lot of fiscal legislation for the state, and he knows this inside out, the way it's supposed to work, and we need to be able to put together thoughtful policy to balance it so we don't end up having happen what had happened, you know, over the last 10 years.
So to that, I'm a little bit of a dogleg here, but Superintendent Kletchy and I just talked about inviting him in to talk about OPEB, but if he's got perspective on school choice, at the goal setting meeting in June, for a finite amount of time, just to give everybody the information and then go off and make some recommendations that probably would come forward at the beginning of the next school year. But I didn't realize he also had some suggestion or was involved in the school too. But that, we need the perspective from people who know more about it than we do.
Yeah, if I recall, he successfully ran school choice through his school.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see what he did.
Program.
But it was very strategic.
That's right.
I think we've talked about this in the past, and I know Nicole, you and I have talked about this too, in a school committee meeting, that doesn't have to be an either or thing. It has to be strategic. So.
Last dog leg on that is he also is really good on the idea of like a stabilization fund. If we go for breaking out E&D versus stabilization, and he was the person we were going to go to, so maybe that third thing we'd want to add in there while we have him.
That might be one just for you guys to make a recommendation to us. I think that squarely fits in the finance subcommittee. That I would love to see you guys vet that for us. Lynn, you had a comment?
Yeah, the school committee, school choice has been a hot topic for a long, long time, and I'm glad that you're taking it slow and thoughtful.
Yeah, because it isn't an either or.
Because that's been the argument all the time, and it's never been, what is it doing to us? What is it doing for us? What is it doing for the kids? It's always been, so thank you for taking the time out to do it.
All right, any other comments? No? All right, well then we're going to close the public hearing, and it's 6:07. And we will now move into our regular business. Citizens' comments. Pardon?
We need to vote on it?
No, we will vote on it in new business.
Oh, okay.
Citizens' comments. No citizens' comments.
That would
And Nick Mellis is here. And soon Nick is going to be not here.
Right.
Where's on this shit?
I'm going to Clark.
Look at his shirt.
Very subtle. Spring sports have started. Our teams have been battling with field conditions and weather lately. The boys and girls track teams both won their first meets of the season versus Marlborough. The unified track teams will host Shrewsbury tomorrow afternoon. The baseball team is off to a strong start. The team is 5-0 and had a huge win over St. John's last week. The softball team is doing well with a record of 4-1. The tennis teams have only been able to play 2 matches due to the weather, but we're hopeful to get a match in tomorrow. The lacrosse teams are doing well. Girls are currently 4-2 and boys are 4-3. The boys had a big win over Marlborough yesterday. The Fine and Performing Arts Showcase is being set up as we speak today. It is from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. in Neshoba High School's Media Center. Please come and enjoy the artwork, music, and performance, all done by Neshoba's very own, the students. Neshoba will be joining over 18,000 chapters nationwide in the Tri-M Music Honor Society. Tri-M is an international organization recognizing exceptional music students. It focuses on creating future leaders in music education and music advocacy by meeting music academic, leadership, and character criteria. On Friday, April 28th is an early release day, with school letting out at 11:30. During that day, all sophomores will be participating in the Reality Fair, an annual event sponsored by Neshoba's Rotary Club, which allows students to simulate what real world is like of mortgages, salaries, and bills. Starting next week and leading into the week after, Neshoba will be having AP exams. AP exams start at either 8 a.m. or 12 p.m., depending on the test, but students need to arrive at all testing sites well in advance of the start times. Rachel Glenister, the high school choral director, who you all met, took the role of assistant manager for the Central District Junior Festival Honors Choir. She is responsible for helping organize, audition, place, and rehearse 7th and 8th grade students from across Worcester County. The ensembles in the Junior District Festival include students from Neshoba Regional High School District and the rest of Central Massachusetts. The hard work will be presented in a concert at Leominster High School this Saturday at 4 p.m. 3 other music teachers from our district, Joe McCarthy, Erin Morrill, and Amy Belhumer, will also be performing in a jazz combo with the Junior District Choir. Good luck to all participating.
Thank you. Any questions for Nick? No? Okay. We're going to move into new business. No, not yet. No, not yet. Give me a couple seconds. We are going to move into new business, but two things I want to mention on before we get into the specifics. The annual town meetings are next Monday night in each of the 3 towns. The presentation deck for each of the 3 towns, it's the same, obviously, with the appropriate towns' data in there. And I'm really happy with the deck. Thank you, Pat, for dropping the data in, and Michelle Cody. It's the same deck that was created last year. So what will happen is, obviously with new data in there, what will happen is that the towns, we're starting to get them into the rhythm of seeing a similar format so that we can call down the data and give them what they need, and then you guys are there to answer questions. And for each of the towns, the superintendent will be in Bolton, and then I know that Jennifer, you're going to be
I'll be in
Lancaster, and Mark will be in Stowe, taking the lead because of the finance subcommittee perspective. And I'm just thinking, obviously, the rest of the members should be there to answer questions from your own perspective. But I think the finance subcommittee's done so much deep diving this year that they probably are the best to answer some of the more specific questions. And then the second item is to just take a minute and recognize that this is the last meeting that Nicole Odekirk from Stowe will be with us, and Jennifer Leone. And Nicole, we've worked together closely for 3 years, and personally I wanted to thank you for the positive contributions that you've made to the school committee. And you will be missed. And Miss Jennifer, there must be some like Hercules award that you could be given for coming in and finishing the last year of a 3-year term and diving into the budget effort this year. I think you might have done 3 years in 1 year.
You guys certainly work hard.
So really appreciate your contributions as well. But we get to keep you because you are going to be remaining on the collective bargaining
We'll be back.
committee, so we appreciate that. So to both of you, and we'll have cake later. And you folks in the back, and Brian, you can have a piece too. So anyway, that's just a couple high school. And please bring our friends in. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Clenchey to talk about the
Yeah, I'll probably have them come up here.
Yeah, talk about the growth mindset in the classroom presentation with Mrs. Messina, a 3rd grade center school teacher.
And once the kids get in, we'll turn it over to the principal and Ms. Messina.
Some seat or not?
Hello. Don't be nervous. Now you're going to be nervous. Don't be nervous. You guys know more about this than we do, right? Yeah.
Are we able to go right here?
You can go absolutely right here.
Are you projecting?
We're going to project right here.
Over here? Okay.
Yeah. So why don't we get out of the way for you? There you go.
Okay.
Perfect. Just careful to slide, okay?
That's Abby.
So that's you guys are ready now?
I just do a quick introduction. Yeah, I just want to quickly introduce one of our 3rd grade teachers, Liz Messina, who's here today to talk with her students about growth mindset, and she can introduce our great kids up here. So last year, I just want to let the school committee know, we started some growth mindset work at Center in my first year. It was something I had done in my previous school district, and I think as a parent, as a coach, and certainly as an educator, it's something that was very interesting to me. So every staff member had done some stuff around growth mindset, and we did some work at the staff meetings. And having known Liz and her sort of the work that she's done in her classroom and outside of school, she and I had a lot of conversations about growth mindset. So when the opportunity came up this year to have student presentations, I thought, you know, why don't you go ahead and take this and run with it? And so here she is today with her students to present. So all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So Liz Messina, thanks for having us. They're, as you heard, super excited to be here. I'm just going to turn the next slide, if you could. So my experience with growth mindset started about 8 years ago when I joined what I thought was just a gym. I didn't know it was called growth mindset then. I don't know if that was around yet. But I joined this gym that took me totally out of my comfort zone, trying things I never thought I can do. And I went with it. And I let myself go with it. And things that I thought weren't my strengths became strengths. And it changed my whole approach to my life and really my fitness and my teaching and as a mom. And I became very goal-oriented and just really sort of like an efficient person. I just know what I need to get done, I get it done, and really task-oriented. I now believe that with consistent practice and a certain mindset, people can pretty much learn and get better at anything. Ross came 2 years ago and he brought this thing called growth mindset. And we had books, we had staff development, and I'm reading and learning about this and researching. And I said, oh, this is what I do. This is what it's called. And he gave us sort of the ticket to instill it in our classrooms. And last year I sort of dabbled in it. This year I started from day one. And I see how it's really moving along with the students. They really identify their strengths and weaknesses. What do we say? We say we don't know how to do that yet. You know, they're going to. Well, what do? They set individual goals. We do SMART. They are doing SMART goals. I always thought it was something I would do, but they're doing their own SMART goals. We have an achievement board in the classroom. We ring a bell. In my fitness facility, we ring bells when we PR for an extra pound or an extra second. They're doing it for doing their multiplication tables a second faster, and they love it. It has built a huge classroom community. I think it's been a lot less competitive because they're more geared to bettering themselves than that person next to them. And because we've identified strengths and weaknesses, they know it and they're helping each other. And it's just been this wonderful year of growth. And when I reflect on it, I think about my goal for them. And it's not just third grade, what's happening this year. It's them moving forward and getting, we say in CrossFit, your genetic potential, but here I think it's their academic potential, and it would go on with them forever. And so I'm going to turn it over to them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
My name is Kerbalsi Riot, Zachary Hodges, Manuel Bosky, Ella Rogers, Cordelia Crystal Dubois, Sarah Albanese. This is a short clip that Mrs. Messina showed our class and our parents the first month of school. This helped us all realize that we can learn anything with a growth mindset.
How's that?
Nobody's born smart. We all start at zero. Can't talk, can't walk, certainly can't do algebra. Adding, reading, riding a bike. Nobody's good at anything at first. There was a time when Einstein couldn't count to 10. And Shakespeare had to learn his ABCs just like the rest of us. Thankfully, we're born to learn. Slowly, surely, you stumble, slip, crawl, fall, and fail, and fall. Frustrating, confusing, trying, struggling, until one day, you walk. One foot in front of the other, one idea on top of the next. Each wrong answer making your brain a little bit stronger. Failing is just another word for growing, and you keep going. This is learning. Knowing that you'll get it, even if you haven't gotten it yet. Because the most beautiful, complex concepts in the whole universe are built on basic ideas that anyone, anywhere, can understand. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you only have to know one thing. You can learn anything.
A growth mindset is a belief that we never stop learning and improving. This promotes the growth of new neural pathways, forming new connections that weren't there yesterday. The more we do something, the stronger the pathway gets. Brains that practice this tend to learn new information much faster. People seem better able to connect one new thought or insight to another, allowing new ideas to emerge. This is a brain, and these are neurons. The more we practice something, the stronger the connection gets. We all have brains ready for learning. The more we practice something, the stronger and more familiar the connection gets between our neurons. This is an iMovie we made about growth mindset.
You know what, Zach, I don't know if it's gonna play, 'cause it's
I don't think it would, because it's under, if it's on my laptop. Do you want to,
Do you want to tell us about it?
you wanna tell them about
Do you
it?
want to tell us what the video's about?
What did we do?
It's about all of us participating in this and saying that what we think growth mindset is about and how that affects us in our daily life.
And so how does it affect you?
Like if you do math, if you're trying to learn new math problems, if you want to do harder math problems, if you want to do science, ELA, and all those stuff.
And then
Writing, reading, math.
Good. Okay.
And do you wanna say where else you found growth mindset in our school?
Yeah, we went into different classrooms and took little short videos of people doing writing and math. People either have a fixed or growth mindset. Don't worry, if you think your mindset is fixed, you can change it. A growth mindset will sound like this. I can learn anything I want to. When I'm frustrated, I persevere. I want to challenge myself. A fixed mindset sounds like this. I'm either good at it or I'm not. When I'm frustrated, I give up. I don't like to be challenged. These are some more examples of fixed and growth mindset. I will be representing a fixed mindset. And I will be representing a growth mindset. This is hard. This is going to take some time and effort. I give up. I'll use some strategies I've learned. It's good enough. Is this really my best work? I'm not good at math or ELA. I've trained my brain and I'm ready. I'm awesome at this! I seem to be on the right track, but I should check my work. This is a fun thing Zach found on the web that shows the difference between a growth and fixed mindset. I will now read a few lines of it. Growth mindset, the force. Because you are eager to learn, you are happy to have a good go and challenges you embraced, you must keep going even when it's hard. Fixed mindset, the dark side. Because you are afraid of looking silly and getting things wrong, you avoid challenges. Give up easy when it's hard. The Shoba kids demonstrate growth mindset everywhere they go. This is Addie practicing the piano. Milo is feeling discouraged on one of the obstacles with practice and guidance she learned to get across. This is Giovanni working on a STEM project. Josie couldn't do one of the dance moves. It was a new move. She failed many times but kept practicing. This is Cordelia rehearsing for the nightmare. These are more examples of growth mindset. Catherine persevering during a field hockey game. Henry determined to pass extra math. Hard work pays off. Ella was scared at first of making a mistake during a drama performance, but she did it. She went out of her comfort zone. Kripal continued to work on trying to solve his Rubik's Cube until he could do it. Maddie kept missing a tough handhold while climbing. She kept trying and she eventually got it. Catching the ball was really hard for me at first. I practiced a lot and now I made a club team. We brought some examples of smart goals we wrote in class. We also brought some writings of time to experience growth mindset. I'm going to share mine with you. One time when I was exercising with my dad, he asked me to do a chin-up. My dad put up the chin-up bar. I said, you do one first. My dad said. So I got up on the stool and grabbed onto the bar. I tried. I could only lift myself an inch up. I tried again. I touched my forehead to the bar. Almost there, I said. I came down. I can't do it, I said. My dad said, try one more time. I got up on the stool and pulled as hard as I could. I did it, I said. Dad said, great job. I was so happy I hugged him. I did it again. Now I can do 5 chin-ups in a row. Now I love to do chin-ups. I learned that if you keep trying, you will eventually do it. I'm going to share my friend Antoine's writing with you. I showed growth mindset when I did extra math. My goal is to get past subtraction. My goal isn't accomplished yet, but I'm going to keep trying and working on it. I have a few more squares to turn back to green, and then I will be on multiplication. I will improve the more I practice. The most important thing is that I need to get a little bit more used to using the Chromebooks. I learned that when you can't do something, if you keep practicing, you'll get it. You'll get better at it. If you keep practicing, your brain will get stronger, just like a muscle. Eventually, you'll get it.
We are going to end our presentation with a poem that represents having a growth mindset. Try, Try Again by T.H. Palmer. 'Tis a lesson you should heed if at first you don't succeed.
Try, try again.
Then your courage should appear, for if you will persevere, you will conquer, never fear.
Try, try again.
Once or twice, though you should fail, if you would at last prevail.
Try, try again.
If we strive, 'tis no disgrace, though we do not win the race. What should you do in the case?
Try, try again.
If you find your task is hard, time will bring you your reward.
Try, try again.
All that other folks can do, why with patience should not you? Only keep this rule in view.
Try, try again.
Anybody on the school committee have any questions? I thought you guys were really good, articulate, incredibly well rehearsed, lots of confidence. Need to spread that. That was great work, guys.
I have a question. Can you talk to me about the smart, you've got a smart board behind you, right? Who can tell me what that is?
Well, this is a SMART goal, and so you make a goal about something you want to do, and it's like, so S means specific, M means measurable, A means attainable, R means realistic, and T means time bound. So you would make it, so this is Antoine's goal. His goal is to be, I'll just read Joseph's. My goal is to learn my 0 to 10's times tables. I want to know my answer in 3 seconds or less. So, and then she wrote her steps to take will, said, I will learn my 0 to 10's timetables, and then she'll practice by, I will ask my sister to test me with flashcards every day. I will do extra math every day for 5 minutes. I will write my 0 to 10 facts in a line on a piece of paper. And then she said that she needs to work on 7 times 8, 6 times 7, and 6 times 8. And then you set where you wanted it to be.
I see.
It's just like a goal that you want to accomplish.
Right. I thought that you did. I would agree with Chairman Ramosko. I was so impressed tonight with you. You're absolutely right. So articulate, so professional. You don't seem like you're at your age at all. I think that, really you seem like middle schoolers to me for the amount of preparation that was done, how well you read. Oh my goodness, you're strong readers. And I loved that even when the tape didn't work, that you did such a good job. Thank you so much. And what a gift to have you come tonight, and to your parents. Thank you so much to the parents for bringing them this evening. Great job, great job. You're doing some fabulous work with your students. And it's going to be really interesting, I think, Principal McCarran, just watch this fold out or unfold in your school as more and more of this happens. Very, very exciting, cutting-edge work. Thank you so much for bringing it forward tonight. We appreciate that. Thank you to the students.
Can I get you 6 kids to squeeze in a little bit? So we can get a picture of our website. Okay, ready? Perfect.
Perfect, absolutely perfect.
All right, we're gonna have
Thank you, school committee.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for
What a gift.
all the prep work and coming in and bringing your parents.
So just put your brain and whatever, and I'll carry them out.
Well, I thought somebody said rain.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, no.
I love
Thanks,
it.
Jen.
We can start this.
Maybe they could leave the break.
Oh, boy. All right, school committee.
Thank you.
Join us back.
Careful with the wire.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your prep.
Constant reminder.
Great job, everyone, great job.
Just for your soul.
It just makes me think there's so much. Can we just replicate that across the district?
I know superintendent might push that along.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So, this is the kind of stuff, right, that, this is why I sit at this table, like, to see this kind of stuff. Like, is this a pilot? Is this something that's not even being talked about as a pilot? Is this something that plans on rolling out? Because kudos to Ross and everything he's doing, and the teachers that are working with this whole program.
Probably a better question, I think, for Ross.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry, I missed the beginning.
Is this a pilot that you're working on, or is this something you're going to push forward with your peers?
I think a lot of the schools are doing things around this. I think my experience in my previous school district, having done some stuff, I had already done some pre-work and I knew how this would sort of fold out. So we were able to get copies of Growth Mindset through our professional development line last year, because what Mr. Lacoste had written in didn't come to fruition based on district changes and happenings and availability of the consultants that we're now working with as a district around literacy. So long story short, I did get each staff member a copy of Growth Mindset, including instructional assistants. And it wasn't a have to by any means, but it was certainly if you're going to pick up this book, start here, and these are the critical chapters to look at. And we started doing some conversation around it at staff meetings. There's a lot of information about Growth Mindset on the web right now, and Carol Dweck, who's out of Stanford, who did this work, did a nice article, and I could forward it along with the video that we weren't able to play, and I apologize again. Through Alita, I can send out the article, but it's about sort of like, it was a revisit. Because growth mindset and fixed mindset sort of came out, there became a lot of misconceptions that growth mindset is just about try, but it's really about those SMART goals. It's really about a kid taking a look at, this is what I can work on, and a teacher helping them align, these are the things that you need to do to get there. And it's not just about, well, you're not working hard enough, you're not trying hard enough. It's about, well, if you want to run a marathon, you go online and you can find a number of plans, but you have to follow the plan. So if you want to know your 0 to 10s facts, here's where you start, and these are the things that you need to do on a regular basis to get them. And what I see with staff is just some of that shifting. And I think most important for me as the principal of the building is to make sure that we don't have kids leaving center saying, I'm great at math, but I'm terrible at art. I'm not an artist, I'm a math person. Or I'm an athlete, but I don't do math. Because they feel like they innately don't have it in them to do it. I said to the 5th graders at their moving up ceremony last year, a long story short, is my message to you is go out and do poorly at something, fail at something, and learn about yourself from it. I mean, I think that I love to work with teachers like Mrs. Messina, because it's a constant cycle of improvement and identifying where they want to go and taking those small steps to get there. And you can see it in her kids in the classroom too.
There were a couple of references to Chromebooks that the kids had made in there, and I know that this sort of seems to tie into like individualized learning styles when you deal with the SMART goals. Do you see technology like playing a plus or a minus in this type of mindset, or having really nothing to do with it at all?
I think technology can play a plus if you use it right, no matter what the situation. As far as Chromebooks go, certainly kids can access things differently than they were before. I don't think you don't have to have technology to be able to do this. I mean, this is applicable in anything.
So a couple quick thoughts from my perspective. Our elementary principals work very closely together. So they meet regularly. They meet outside of their regular meetings. So there's a lot of communication that flows between them and our middle school principals. So it's a very tight knit group. So when they're bringing new things on, they are sharing them. And the truth is, we're doing. I know that tonight we were shining a light on your school, but the truth is, we're doing a lot of really cool things district-wide, and have been, I think, all year. So this was fabulous tonight. Your kids did an amazing job tonight. So great representation for Center School tonight.
So, as a parent, what would a parent see differently?
I'll speak as a parent, and I think it's making sure that for me, it's not putting my kids in a box too early about this is who you are, these are what your abilities are, and this is what you'll be good at. Because when you say that, you're telling them that they won't be good at other things.
Right.
We're having the great summer camp debate in my house right now, and trying to get a balance of sports and other things. And just making sure that we're keeping those open. There's a number of things on the web to do it, but there is a specific chapter in the growth mindset by Carol Dweck. I think the title is specifically parents, coaches, and teachers. I think is the title of the chapter. I think those are the big takeaways. Is that when as parents we tell our kids you're good at this, you're not good at that, we're predetermining for them what they should put their focus and effort on. So those are the types of things, and working on those steps. I'm terrible at math. I failed at this test. Okay, so what are the steps to get better at it? And putting your effort into specific steps instead of just saying try again.
If it is a parent, am I gonna see something different happening with the way my child is learning? Because that's almost like saying, just as a parent, that I should be, from what you just said, I should be saying to my child, don't put the box. Me myself, I shouldn't be putting my child in the box. But I'm just wondering, learning styles though, would I see anything different?
Based on what we're doing at school?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're doing anything so global that kids are going to start all of a sudden in mass coming home and using different language. I think it's these bits and pieces of things that teachers are doing and picking up at their own pace, at their own comfort level.
I would think that confidence would start to, because these children were extremely confident.
Yeah, I think what Liz said too about just the community type stuff where kids are becoming, I think we can all look at the research, the Emerson survey that came out, the anxiety around competitiveness and in grades. I would hope that for my students that we can, and again, it's not an overnight thing, but that we can start instilling in them and supporting parents. And this came up at school council, and we're hopefully going to do some parent outreach stuff around, not necessarily growth mindset, but around how do we support parents in Stowe in particular, around anything. But I would hope that kids can step away from some of this rhetoric about competitiveness, and it's more about personal development and setting your own goals and reaching your own goals. But again, I think they need a lot of support and guidance in that. I sit down with my teachers. I know the other principals sit down with their teachers when their teachers write SMART goals. So I think there's potential for community around that.
That was the piece that was so impressive to me, is because, the SMART goals is, most people in their business life use something similar to it, and at the highest levels of the organization here, we use it. But to see it applied in an age-appropriate way, and it just enables personal success, whatever that personal success means, which for me and Donna Lindstrom, our district, I want to say nurse, but I don't know what you call yourself, that confidence impacts what you were saying, levels of stress, not feeling good about yourself, self-medicating, all of that is just, as long as it's not, you got to drive. But that was huge.
Yeah, and I don't think this is not the answer for all of that. And as an educator and a parent, I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in the problem, understanding it either. I think it's just, we know it's out there. We need to start just shifting the conversation a bit, and this is one way to do it.
Yeah, I think what I love is just the attitude, the approach, the can-do. that, you know, the can-do approach that it instills in our children. It was just, I just thought that they were fabulous tonight, really.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nick, you have a question?
Is it, like, can you apply it to all grade levels?
I would think so. I mean, I think the
Smart goals,
conversation is
yeah.
certainly
Yeah.
different at, at the high school level. But, for us, it's that idea that the SMART goal piece about, all right, well, here's the goal, what are the steps to get there? And this is something I can actually measure. Becoming better at math might be an overarching goal, but what specifically at math do you want to work at? For, one of those examples was the 0 through times facts that they shared. So, I mean, I think it's applicable really anywhere. So.
Did you have something in mind, Nick?
No, well, we're not going to. Thank you very much for
Thanks for
coming,
your
and
time.
thanks for
Thank you.
organizing it all. Really appreciate it. Okay. We now need to vote on the FY 17-18 school year. And the way the vote has to run is that I need someone to make a motion to withdraw from school choice for the FY 17-18 school year for the Neshoba Regional School District.
I move that the district withdraw from the school choice for the 17-18 school year.
In a second?
Second.
Mark, and any comments, questions? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Clenchey now to take us through part of phase 2 of the corrective action
Right,
plan.
thank you. So there, as you'll recall, we, and Pat, I'll maybe have you come to the table in case I need to draw on you for anything here, if you don't mind. So we have had posted earlier a bit of an updated version of the next phases of the corrective action plan. And there are two pieces. Now, Joan DeAngelis is unable to be with us this evening, otherwise she would be here. But having said that, when you take a look at the SPED component, you take a look at the phase 2, the term this morning was, it's just such a meaty plan. There's just so much in it. And as we had started to look at it this morning, it became abundantly clear that this is really a lot. And I don't know that we necessarily need to go through it step by step. So I'm going to make kind of a general statement about the SPED piece, and then maybe we can talk about how we'd like to approach all of this after it and get some thoughts from the school committee members. For the most part, if you take a look at the SPED component, I'm not going to go through it, but if you look over to the action and status, basically everything has been completed and is ongoing. There's really nothing that's a whole right now. And in all fairness to Joan, again, she, like me, when we came and when we first got into the district and we started seeing some things that we thought we might be able to make some changes to, we did it immediately before the audits were finalized. So she took the same approach that I did, which is one of the reasons why now it's kind of easy to go back after the SPED component and say, basically, you know what? Yes, we've taken care of all of these in some form or another. So I'm going to just kind of leave that as a broad overview to the SPED component, and then I'll come back and revisit both in a minute. The phase 2, you'll recall that what we had done is I broke it into 2 phases because there was just so much between the MASBO report and the forensic audit. And initially, we thought we'd have done a good job in terms of breaking this up, because we tried to give the equal weighting. We thought that we had as many meaty items in the first phase as we did in the second phase. We did, except what came to pass is we had more meaty items in the second phase than we had anticipated. So if you take a look, and again, I'm going to actually ask you just to look at the action status, because basically the vast majority of this has now been completed and is ongoing. There are a couple of components here. For example, if you can go to page 3, if you take a look at that, this is one of the forensic audit recommendations, that the school committee should review their policy over budget transfers and either amend the policy to conform with current practices or require school administration to conform to the current policy. I just use that as an example because that's one of the areas that we really need school committee, policy committee to funnel up to the school committee some changes. So that's not something that administration can do. That has to come from the grassroots of the school committee. There's another area or two like that. For example, if I can have you turn over to page 7, you'll find the same thing there on number 5 on page 7. The district should have policies and procedures in place to ensure that no student is denied access to educational or extracurricular opportunities due to inability to pay fees or tuitions. Again, I think this is a ripe opportunity because you're already doing work with Dorothy Presser right now anyway. That this will probably come naturally, quite frankly, rather than you having to go off and do something specific.
The one that you mentioned about the budget was one that we'd already spoken about, and finance is going to take a look at. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, everything else though, rather than, it just makes no sense tonight to go through every single item, quite frankly, because it's just too much. And it would take our entire meeting, quite frankly. So I think what I would suggest for both of these, but it's completely up to you, Chairman Ramosko or school committee members, if you want me to do something different, I can. But what I would suggest is that we take a look at these. You've probably already looked them over anyway, but I would rather have you go away and do the full read on it, come back if you've got questions. We're happy to answer them or go into greater detail. But tonight, it just makes no sense to me to go through these extensively. So I just leave that out there for food for thought. I'm happy to do as much or as little as you see fit. SPED I would leave completely off the table though until Joan DeAngelis is able to come back and be with us.
So I guess the question I have is if there maybe, so everybody had the opportunity to read the documents, and if you have questions now, ask them. Because when did we put these in the packet? They've been in for a while.
They have, and there were some tweaks today to phase 2. Like for example, you'll see that we removed all the yellow highlights and stuff like that. So but it was minor tweaks. It wasn't even something that was any substance.
Okay.
Yeah, there was nothing of substance changed at all.
So pretty much the document's been in there for a while, so we've had a chance to review it. So if you have questions after the meeting, why don't you funnel them through me and I'll get them to Brooke, and then if there seems to be a general question that needs to be addressed in open session, we'll do that. And in the meantime, I would suggest that maybe those things that are for policy or those things that are left, that you just have those in a shorter little list.
Yeah.
Especially if you need the school committee to weigh in on something, provide something to you, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the amount of work that's gone on this year between the finance subcommittee, but mainly the administration,
The offices, our
pretty
offices.
impressive with everything that's gone on in the financial and business end of the district. So, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And to be honest with you, I have to say, you present this with pride tonight. Like I do present this with pride because to say complete on so many items, it is huge.
Yeah.
Complete and ongoing because we're still doing work on all of this. It's a good feeling on all of this for not just the phase 2 and the SPED, but the phase 1 as well. I feel that we have authentically addressed what was out there in the MASBO and the forensic audit report. I don't feel that there's any gaping hole right now that we have not paid attention to. We've paid attention to everything.
So we made a commitment, a financial and a time commitment to those 2 reports, and it was a lot of work, right? What's nice about this is that you've now come full circle, taken the analysis, taken the recommendations, and put them into practice.
Mm-hmm.
So it was work that was really, the payoff was great on that work, so thank you.
And I said this last night, I know that there were times where I think, and I say this with no agenda at all, but I think that there were times when the school committee took some heat because we did this, and I thought it was unnecessary. So I say that out here again tonight. I thought it was totally unnecessary that some of the comments or some of the things that were being said about why this was being done. This was such important work for the school district to do, for our offices to do. It really did point the direction. It really did pull all things together and give us substantial direction of how to move forward in a way that shows best practices. which is exactly what you were looking for when you first started the process of doing this. So to your point of coming full circle, you know what? That's a great way to look at it. I didn't think of that, but you're absolutely right. We've now come full circle. So
Well, that's great. Now let's move on from there. So thank you for your efforts. Really appreciate that. Okay, we're going to move now. The next item on the agenda is the establishment of the Neshoba Regional High School Facility Committee, and I mentioned this several weeks ago. I don't even know. I know I talked to Mark and Neil about it in the open meeting. And I don't even know if it was before or right around the time we started going through the forensic audit and working on the budget, but this facility committee is specific to the high school. The charge of this committee, and I'll go through this again in more detail when we elect our new officers and our new committee members. But the goal of this and the charge will be to work towards a recommendation for the SOI and the feasibility study for the high school, which we've all talked about, but this committee needs to bring that recommendation forward to the school committee for us in order for us to vote. What I'd like to do is also include parents and or residents from each of the 3 towns and administrative. I don't want it to be a big, massive group, because if we do that, it's going to be hard to move. But I think it needs to be a representative group and look at the opportunity for the feasibility study, what the timeline is, what the steps are, what the expense will be, and then let's just make a decision to go or no go. But the high school we need to turn our attention there. We've had so many fires that the administration and the school committee have been putting out over the past year and a half, that now it's time for us to really address this and take it on. So that's what the charge will be. I think we should be targeting early fall to get in front of the communities with whatever the recommendation is. But whether we go or don't go, we've got to have a recommendation to the communities.
So you want them to meet from now until the fall?
I think what we'll do is next school committee meeting, we'll know who our new reps are, and we'll be able to identify, where people are going to sit and in which subcommittees. And I'm really hoping that we're all going to be okay with maintaining consistency in the committees as they are, because I do think that the reason a lot of work got done this year is because of that consistency from year to year, except for Jennifer, who just, I don't know what she does. She just comes in, swoops in, helps wherever she's needed and leaves. But, so yeah, I think that what was that?
Just ditches.
Yeah. And then she gets on her broom and she leaves. But so your question was, take me back. Time frame.
Because you were saying in the fall you want it, so now.
Well, there's going to be work to do, right? So
Summer, yeah.
There's going to be you've got to identify what's the recommendation, bringing it forward before the end of the school year to the school committee.
Yeah, but you really have to figure out what you're going to do, because if you want people from the individual towns to be part of it, they need to know what the time.
Well, I think the school committee members have to make. We'll get there. We'll get there. I don't want to get into too much of the detail now, but just
has to go pretty quick.
Right, it does have to go pretty quick. But I think that's why when we start to identify who those people are in the subcommittees, we'll identify that. We'll sit down and talk about the charge a little bit more directly. But I think we need to start these conversations early in the school year.
Yeah.
Right?
January's the deadline then.
Right. Okay. So that's what that is. So nothing to do there tonight. I just wanted to resurrect it because we talked about it a couple of times without identifying exactly what we were doing. The next item on the agenda is the Memorandum of Understanding for the School Resource Officer, and I'm going to turn that over
Sure.
to Superintendent
And
Clenchey.
I'm going to ask Don Lowe to come to the table as well, and we can, between the two of us, kind of present what's happening here. I'll start, Don, if that's okay, and kind of tee it up, and then feel free to add whatever items you think are important, or if I've missed something, I know you'll catch me on that. So just a couple of quick points. This Memorandum of Understanding is basically something that is in essence drawn up between the Chief of Police and the Superintendent of Schools. We had a template that we had brought forward that the chief, I think, had first sent around. What you've got in your packets tonight is something that the chief and I have met on. We've had several discussions on, but today we met again, just finalizing things and making sure that we're very comfortable with it. And this is what you've got tonight. And I'm going to ask Don in a minute to talk about his legal counsel and some of the thinking that they had behind it. Our legal counsel has reviewed it, made some tweaks, and sent it back to us. And so what we present tonight, we are very comfortable with. The chief is comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with it. Our legal counsel is comfortable with it. There, just for the public tonight, I just want to highlight a couple of components of it. It starts off with just general principles. One of the themes throughout the Memorandum of Understanding is the fact that this SRO really does belong to the Bolton Police Department. So we want to be really, really clear on that. This is not an employee of the district. The district helps to support through compensation, but the SRO really does fall under the purview of the chief and or his or her designee. So there are some basic general principles, and then it goes into school and police department designated liaisons, which basically is exactly who you think would be the principal and the assistant principals at the school. And here, the chief, lieutenant sergeant, and the SRO. Over the page, it addresses issues of concern to the designated liaisons. Then reporting guidelines. It's very, very standard, to be honest with you. When you read through, there are no surprises here at all. There's nothing that might be seen as anything that might have some sort of controversy of it. There's just nothing like that in here at all. And then it goes into police department reports to the school, procedure guidelines, implementation, working conditions, and the supervisor chain of command. It's very straightforward. It's not even really legalese type stuff when you take a look at it. It's very simple to understand, very clear. So, you know, I don't think that I'm looking for a vote tonight necessarily if you don't feel prepared to take one. But I said to Chair Ramosko, we wanted to put it out on the table tonight for you. So Don, do you want to fill in any holes that I've left here?
Well, there aren't many holes to fill in. Effectively, and I don't have the most current one in front of me because I know that we had changes being discussed during the afternoon. So what you have in front of you is actually a more real-time document, I believe. One of the changes that we made this afternoon was, rather than have specific individuals listed here as, oh, thank you. Rather than having specific individuals listed in here, hardwired into a document that we need to change as people come and go, we have the functions in there for both the police department and the school district, which I think makes this a much more flexible document. The input from our council was that we would, this should be restricted to reporting procedures, most of which are already mandatory. Maybe not all are, but most are. So the reporting procedures should be documented, and things like, you know, the chain of custody. I think one section that I think runs all the way up to O, if I remember correctly, is Article 4, which is the reporting guidelines. Those reporting guidelines are it is up to Article 4, is very comprehensive, and I think captures everything that we could possibly think of. And then finally, you know, at the end, the supervisor and chain of command and the working conditions, the chain of custody, all that. What it's not meant to be is it's not meant to perform the function of a side letter where if you wanted to get into liability issues or compensation issues or anything like that. That's for another document such as a side letter. It's not, you know, the MOU is meant to be strictly, you know, what is the SRO responsible for? What is the school personnel responsible for? If we capture evidence, how do we maintain it? That type of thing. We had discussed earlier that the district attorney's office may be involved with this. The district attorney's office up to this point has not gotten involved with it. That would be a good thing to have, but it's not a necessity, that because the document is an agreement between the superintendent of schools and the chief of police. As the school committee is seeing it for the first time this evening, the Board of Selectmen have not seen this yet because, as I said, it was evolving right through the day today. So I will end up taking the finalized document from tonight and putting it on the agenda for the next Selectmen's meeting after this week, which I believe is May 8th. And I'll probably I plan on making town council available to the Selectmen if they have any questions on the document. So just as you may or may not be voting it up or down tonight, and it's really, you know, it's for the signature of the superintendent and the chief of police, but I'm sure no superintendent would sign a document that her school committee wasn't comfortable with, just as no chief of police would sign a document that his Board of Selectmen isn't comfortable with. So, you know, we're still going through that process.
So it's still a process.
I don't think we're gonna be, I think if we could give people, and I know Jen, you got a question, and then Neil, but I think if we could just, because it was a late breaker, I'd like to have more time to review it, and then come up with any questions, and just make sure we're all feeling really good about it at the next meeting, and then vote on it, or make those questions known. And after tonight, if you guys find you do have questions, funnel them through me again, we'll get them to Brooke, so at that meeting, we can be ready to answer those questions and move it along. So Jennifer had a question.
So I've read this, and all the stuff pursuant to the SRO, I think is very straightforward and well documented. It's the referencing the Neshoba Regional School District and some of the wording, I guess, the Bolton Police agree to coordinate their efforts and share information in order to prevent violence involving students of the district. And I guess my question is, the district also includes Lancaster and Stowe. I know this is predominantly geared towards the high school, but by saying that the Bolton Police are going to be involved in the students of the Neshoba Regional School, I guess, is that a problem?
No, because we're a separate entity.
Yes, but Bolton is not going to be stepping in at the middle school in Lancaster, and
Right.
that's what I mean. So, and yet those students are considered the Neshoba Regional School District. I guess that's. Do you see what I mean?
I do, but since the focus is primarily on the high school, they are students.
But it's not in there. I guess that's.
Does it
Could it be more specific so that it references the high school?
High school more. That's interesting.
But what happens if there's a student that's in the high school that there's an incident with who's not a high school student, who's a middle school student? I know, we could go down this crazy road. But you know what I mean?
Right.
And also, I mean, it's not totally
I don't know.
restricted. I mean, the SRO works out of the high school. Doesn't say the SRO won't be involved with something in Emerson or Florence Sawyer either. So, I mean,
But the SRO is not going to be going to Luther
MRE, yeah.
no, that's not the intention.
No, I know. I guess that was. Is that a problem? Is there any issue?
I wonder if we should ask Carrie.
We can ask, we can certainly ask our legal counsel, you know, but keep in mind that the legal counsel is one who basically has worked through this and said.
So it's
this,
the only,
yeah.
it's the only kind of just because of the nature of the district that.
I'll certainly ask her.
And our district's not normal. I mean, every time we run into something and they talk about district, we're not structured like most districts. You know, we ran into that with the MSBA. So I'm wondering if there's a point of demarcation that you would talk about and say, you know, this is his sphere of responsibility.
It could be
as far as this
Bolton-based
goes.
schools. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah, it was just a question based on.
So Brooke will
just the
touch,
wording.
it's a good question, and Brooke will touch base, and Neil, you had a
So,
good
yeah,
one.
just reading this, I'm not seeing anything where it says mandatory reportable incidents. I'm going to harken back to a few years ago when we had a break-in, and we had vandalism that was conducted on the property. Two things happened that isn't being covered there. Number one, break-ins literally are not listed here as mandatory contact for the police, and I think they should be. And number two, disturbing the crime scene. There's nothing that lists or instructs the schools not to tamper with the crime scene. In that particular case, the janitors were sent in and actually cleaned the entire crime scene before the police got there. So I think we need to have some specific language in there that prevents the schools from, listen, if it's a police matter, don't go near it, don't touch it, don't be involved. Let them handle
That's
it.
a really good point.
Yeah, that's an extremely good point.
Yeah.
So,
I'll bring that forward to the legal counsel as well.
Mark.
And along the lines of Bolton-wide, I'm noticing that this is an opportunity for this to be a model in relation to the other police departments for their middle and elementary schools, where we have a little more formalization of our interactions with the Stowe Police Department and Lancaster Police
But do you have a
Department.
police officer on site in those buildings?
We don't, but we do have relationships, particular relationships with particular officers in each town where they are a resource and they have developed relationships. And I think this is an opportunity for us to notice that and see if we may want to have a similar, but not this particular kind of discussion.
We actually have something in place in Stowe. To be honest with you, we don't in Lancaster, but we do in Stowe. I've
There's
seen
an
it.
informal something in Lancaster, the chief and the principals.
But it's an interesting point. Do we take this as an opportunity to?
What brings it up for me is that this resource officer could be a resource for a middle school opportunity, just that they're familiar with the district and the personnel, and maybe call upon that person to come to a middle school occasion.
They have to be in Bolton, though.
Right, in Bolton.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, as long as
Oh.
we've sort of broken open the conversation, gee, it's a Bolton activity that's going on, that we, as a district, might want to think about the relationship at the other schools, just at the lower levels on occasion.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Good point. So let's get this one done, and then we'll put it on you to talk with your peers in the towns. Lynn?
And I just have a question about policy. I mean, I know this is going to go in the handbook, but it's not a policy. But it's going to go through, it says it in the beginning somehow. And so I'm wondering, do we have policies that dovetail with this, that make it a policy? Because as a parent, I mean, am I reading this and this is what I should, if my child does something, this is what I should expect will happen? Or is there something else going on within our policies? Is there a conflict?
I don't know if this doesn't need, because it's an understanding of a relationship, I don't know that it needs to be.
But they're given authority that wasn't there before.
But they're a police officer in the building, they've always had the authority, right?
That's right.
It's just formalizing it.
Yeah, we're just documenting it right now. For us, actually.
No, with an incident, with or without an SRO, if there's an incident in the building, we have police authority to go in.
That's right.
and
Now,
handle
is
it.
that if you call them in, or
Regardless.
they give?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I'm not sure if this is the word that you were thinking on, but I would say I don't think policy needs to be in play for
Right.
this, to be honest with you. And if you think about it, this is still relatively new to Neshoba, so I doubt that you've got policy surrounding it, to be honest with you. But I don't think that you need policy, to be honest. And let's keep in mind too, this is also through statute.
This is not directing the district employees and the students. This is just an understanding of the police officer's responsibility, and it's just formalizing what's already there. So
Right.
I don't think there is a policy issue in here at all. Or Carrie would have told us.
Yeah,
You know?
I really don't think that there is, and I do think because it's in statute, I think that kind of overrides
Right.
it.
The superintendent makes a very good point, since it is by statute. We're just really memorializing
Right.
and refining for this particular district what the statute reflects.
It's not just the police officer either, it's the interaction between the school
Administration.
and- Exactly.
Right.
and the police.
That's right.
And then we have our policies that direct the administration.
So I'll take the points that
Thank
were
you.
offered here and go back to our legal counsel and then make the changes. We'll track the changes. Lita, if you make a note of that, we'll track the changes and get it back out to you. I want to stress too, and this goes back to a comment maybe.
Which changes, wait a second, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
If there were
If there
any
is.
changes that the legal counsel said,
Oh.
yes, you know what, that was something we hadn't thought of, we better do this.
So we're still going to funnel those.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll give those to you, and then
Right.
we can talk about it at the next meeting. So we just need to make sure this is on the agenda for the next
And then
meeting.
once you
Right.
get your suggested changes back that you'll be sharing with the school committee, I can share them with the selectmen as well.
Right.
And then collectively, we should be able to capture everything.
And I think that's absolutely right. And I think, Lynn, you had said something earlier, we were talking about school choice, but I think that this is another example of where, let's just take this slow and steady and get it right. Let's be thoughtful. Personally, I'm in no hurry to get this done. I want to do a good job of it.
There is a policy. There is a
Did you find a policy?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Did Nicole find it?
No.
Nice job.
She was like,
The chair
so,
found
yeah.
it.
So are you looking to see, are you talking to Dorothy to see if they work?
No, it's in section K.
So.
Oh, look at you!
Not there yet. But it's school resource officer, relations with police authorities, school resource officer.
And does it refer to the Mass General Law?
Is it a long one?
I just had it. No.
Yeah, it's
probably feeling.
I don't see any reference to, do you?
Maybe.
Is that something you need to coordinate with Dorothy?
You know what? I know why, because this is brand new, the Mass General Law changed in
okay.
15 or
that'll come up
16.
with- she-
So that's why.
She
Yeah.
makes us aware of any updates to the.
Yeah, so that's probably why.
Okay. All right, so
Thank
moving
you.
on. Thank you.
Well, I have a
Thank you,
typographic item
Mr. Lowe.
on page,
Okay, send it in.
Okay.
All right, that's a
Sure.
nit. That's a nit. Send it in. Don't forget it. Do send it in. Piano donation acceptance. Who wants to give us a piano?
Well, apparently, Perry Graham sent me a letter here notifying me that there is an anonymous donor of a Steinway Model M piano, which is a very nice piano. She's a Worcester resident, and like I said, she wants to remain anonymous. This couldn't come at a better time. We had some damage done to the piano that we have right now in the high school. The water dripped onto it.
Oh.
It's going to be expensive to repair it. One of the things that's a requirement, though, is that we pay to transport the piano, and it will be about $350. The money is available in the music budget, and we would like to do that. So we'd like to accept this donation. It's valued at approximately $6,000 to $10,000, and we would like to accept this donation.
A Steinway.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
Just
you so
amazing.
much. That's
Does it need to be
amazing.
repainted, is that what I heard?
No,
No?
tuned, it just needs to be
Tuned.
transported and tuned.
Transported.
So I move that we
Generally
accept
knows
this
with the flames.
amazingly generous donation of the piano from this anonymous donor.
And allocate the $350.
You know, well, do we need to vote? I mean, that's already in the budget. Do we need to vote the?
But to accept it with that
It's in their music.
stipulation.
Right. Did you hear what Pat just said? We had to accept it with the stipulation, yeah.
That we move it.
Right.
Okay, but we don't have
Okay.
to specifically authorize the
Thank
funds
you.
to move it, right?
Second? Anyone? Second. Susan? All those in favor? I look red. Oh, all those opposed? No. Are you abstaining?
I had a question, but there was no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we haven't finalized it, so what do you got?
What's happening to the old piano?
We actually haven't had any discussion on that, have we?
I have pictures of it, and it has some extensive water damage right down through the keys and everything. So a lot of the keys have to be repaired, and the innards of it. So that we're going to get an estimate on it anyway, see if it's worthwhile repairing, because, I mean, you know, as long as it isn't it isn't more expensive to repair it than to replace it, then we would probably do that.
And is there another school in the district that could use it?
Well, that's the point, is is it worth it to repair it?
A new home, or if it stays at high school, whatever the decision is on that.
Yeah.
I was just in a concert. Friends of Music was talking about the piano they had and the casing that they had for it. The Friends of Music had the Roosters had purchased, and to protect it. And that was like a month ago. And so it got damaged over the past month.
I think there's more than one piano there.
Oh, okay. Because there's one that they've got all. Oh, you know about it.
There is more than one piano in that room. There's varying stages of health, I'll call it.
That's a good word.
So one of them, I don't know which piano broke, but one of them, the one that we use for chorus concerts, is in this huge box, and I have no idea which one broke. But I don't know how water could get into that huge box.
That's what I was thinking. They were very happy with it.
Okay,
It's very
so
nice.
let's move on, guys. So are we're voting.
We need to
So
give Nicole a chance to vote.
all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are you going to do when you're not here anymore?
Go through votes quicker?
Okay, old business. So we've got one item here, and we're all looking so looking forward to her. The youth risk survey behavior survey follow-up. There's been a lot of concern about it, so I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce our guests.
Sure. Well, I'll leave that to Donna here, as she's, and welcome, we're glad to have you this evening. I did happen to take in the high school portion of the meeting, and I was really impressed at a number of levels. The high school staff did a focus, if that's a good way to say it, on social emotional learning. They took a look at the Emerson Youth Survey and asked the question, what can we do differently? What can we do to help support our students well? And it was really impressive as somebody just sitting at the back of the room that day, other than the food, by the way, was delicious. I don't know what group did the food that day, but
I can take credit for my department.
Well, that apple crisp, the warm apple crisp was to die for. But what I think impressed me the most that day was just the leadership that so many of the staff showed as you went through the various slides and the thinking that happened around it. It was just really impressive sitting there. So hats off, kudos to everybody involved with that particular staff meeting. And I know that you're going to talk about that a bit tonight as we're looking at this. So to just back up a little bit, you'll recall that Donna Lindstrom had come in earlier this year. We talked about the Emerson Youth Survey and some of the concerns that we had, and we had a number of flags. You charged us with basically going back, taking a look and seeing what we could bring forward to take a look at next year and what could that look like. And Dawn and I have done a number of, we brainstormed a number of different ideas, different approaches and whatnot. She's done a lot of work in this area. She sat down with different staff members who've further brainstormed and come up with some different ideas. And then the high school took that next leap of doing what they did, which again was so impressive. So I think tonight you're going to talk about the overarching view without a lot of details. You're going to talk about the overarching view and where you see yourself headed. You'll also recall that we've allocated $10,000 for some of this work in this upcoming budget, and so that's in there as well.
Is this specific to the high school, or is this district-wide?
Well, I think that it's district-wide, but I think we're going to highlight some of what we foresee coming at what we're expecting or anticipating and excited about with the high school. So I think that it's kind of duofold. Okay. So with that, Dawn, I turn it over to you.
Very much. And my colleague and friend here is Melissa Snedeker, who is one of our fantastic teachers from the high school, who has been on the what we'll call the advisory committee, a little teaser, and she will let you know what that exactly means once I just briefly go over what our thoughts are in addressing some of the issues and little concerns that we had that came out of the youth survey. So, and I also want to thank you all so much for providing some funding for us so that we can really take a look at this and bring in some experts, because none of us are experts in all of these areas. And so to really find some presentations and some people who work in the fields in these different areas, and to bring them in to either present information to our students or to also bring information to the community and parents, because as we know, when we talked about when I was here before, how important it is to make sure that we have that school parent community connection so that we can all be working on these issues all together. So I've had the good fortune of working with several people who are very passionate about all of these health and wellness topics and areas that we've been talking about so much coming out of the YRBS. And so what we decided to do was to try to break down into some general topic areas or categories, those concerns that we all were, those areas that we're most concerned about. And so these are the 6 general topic areas that we will be looking at, dividing the year up over the next school year into approximately 6 different topic areas or different phases, and addressing each of these during one of those phases in a variety of different ways. So what it may look like is over, say, a month or 6 weeks, that we will choose one of these topic areas. We'll start by sharing the information from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey out with parents and saying, this is the data that has come out, these are the answers that your students provided. and then starting from there and adding information and resources, offering programming to students if we're able to coordinate. Sometimes we have health curriculum that's going on and it's set up in a certain way so that different units are done at different times of the year. So if we're very creative and able to place these so that they'll align with health curriculum, that would be wonderful. It may not happen in all cases. But so student approach in education, and then hopefully bringing in an expert, some sort of a presenter or an exhibitor that will come in and speak on an evening to one of these topics. And the categories that we decided to look at are, again, directly out of Youth Risk Behavior Survey. So safety, which we will talk about, bullying, cyberbullying, online safety, that usually happens with the students in the beginning of the school year. So we thought we could hope to coordinate that. So probably in October-ish, we may be working on that particular area. Substance use prevention, of course, is a big one. And suicide prevention, talking about mental health and depression along the way there as well. Stress, as we know, was one of our big concerns, and so we'll combine stress and also talk about anxiety and how they contribute to one another. Building resiliency, and that really encompasses the whole social emotional learning model that we've been talking about, providing social information and training so that kids can strengthen what they already have and have the ability to self-manage. And it is, again, I think over and over again, really the growth mindset today, when the presentation from the center school, which are all my old friends, I miss them so much. They were kindergartners when I last had them, and they've gotten taller. And so that type of programming that gives kids the tools that they need to then avoid all of these other issues. So being strong enough to know what to do to deal with bullying if they're being bullied, to avoid or decide against trying alcohol or drugs as they get older. So that whole building resiliency. And then we also thought really important to look at some really positive health promotion as well. With health topics like getting good sleep, nutrition, looking at fitness, mindfulness, and mindfulness is another topic that really, again, is out there. It's really a big buzzword that's out there right now in also addressing all of the other issues that are on that topic list. So we're thinking that maybe introducing mindfulness also to our staff as well, and having people decide on their own whether they'd like to begin mindful practices in their own lives, and then share out or use that in their classrooms or their interactions with their students as well. So
we could do it for the parents too. That'd be really awesome.
Right, because you can use it for stress management.
Exactly.
So many things. It's
exactly.
True. So the idea is that we will address each of these topics with staff, students, and parents and community as the year goes along. So we don't have a schedule yet. We have reached out and spoken to a couple of other parent groups that are in the area. Westford has a very strong one, and we're looking into trying to connect with Duxbury as well. We've actually been this close to trying to meet with the head of this Westford parent group. They have, I think, 15 years of providing parent programming, where they have 10 or 15 programs that they have each year, and they provided us with a list of every speaker that they've had, and so we're researching each of them to see if any of them would really fit with what we think we would like to provide, and so it's really. There are many people that are out there that are already doing this, and so we think we won't reinvent the wheel, and we'll try to use them, to help us in deciding what we need to do. So, just a quick aside before I let Melissa take over from here. I just wanted to mention, Superintendent Clenchey and I spoke today about a program that has been getting a lot of attention over the last couple of, I think since the end of March. It's been airing on Netflix. It's called 13 Reasons Why. And so it's
That's exactly why
It's
why
so
we're
bringing it up
we want
tonight.
to bring it up to all of you and to let you know that we're just on the brink of releasing some information out to every parent in the district about it, with some resources, some talking points, some degree of caution in just making sure that parents are aware of where it's coming from and what some very, very important and knowledgeable mental health officials are having concerns about. So the National Association of School Psychologists has put out a position statement. Riverside Trauma, who we work with very closely when we have traumas in the district, have put out position statements. And so it's just briefly, if you haven't heard of this already, it's a Netflix program that follows the life and aftermath of a young girl, a high school age girl, who completes suicide, and she leaves behind tapes that there are 13 tapes that where she's recorded the reason why that particular and age tape is pointed at a person that was in her life, the things that they did to her to cause her to ultimately complete suicide. And the concerns are that the portrayal of this situation is all of the things that you should not do and none of the things that you should do, and the things that we try to teach our kids. And we do present this SOS program to our middle schools and our high schools, which says you acknowledge when you're concerned about a friend. You acknowledge, you say to them, I'm taking you seriously, I'm worried about you. You then say that you care. I care about you, I want to help you. And then the third thing that you are supposed to do is tell a trusted adult. So these are the basic tenets of the SOS program and what we try to teach our kids. But this particular program shows none of that. So there's a culture of silence. They portray that this girl tried to go to a school counselor, and the school counselor essentially put the blame back on her. They're very concerned that will turn students away from going to
Who are nervous about doing it anyway.
in the first place. And then they are, and also there's no mention of mental health. And as we know, and all the research shows that in the vast majority, essentially all suicides can be tracked back to having an underlying mental health disorder, depression, anxiety, and none of that is mentioned in this as well. And they also do not provide any resources. So they essentially said the producers could. Okay, so at least they're bringing it to light, and that it's a positive thing that we're talking about suicide. It's something that people don't like to talk about. It's an uncomfortable thing, and so the producer said we're trying to show it in as real a situation as we possibly can. However, they're just not going about it in the right way.
Well, it's not a teaching moment.
And it comes very, very close to glamorizing suicide.
Exactly. And it's kids, right? So the actors are obviously in their 20s, whatever, but it's high school kids.
Right.
And actually, I think every parent should know about this show. So thank you for jumping on
we have a letter that we're putting together, and we'll have all of the principals send it out and make sure that parents are at least aware.
It's going to the high school only?
No, high school, middle schools.
Oh, good. Good.
Yes, I think we'll send it out because we've heard that students as young as 10 have watched it.
Right.
And if they haven't watched it, they're hearing about it in the hallways. So I think that we may even send it to middle school, to elementary. We might as well send it to everyone in the district, and it's a point of awareness and education.
Thank you.
So I just wanted you aware of that. And then just 2 upcoming events that we're working on, also along the line of substance use prevention. The Substance Abuse Awareness Task Force that we have going at the high school, we have aligned with the Central Middlesex Police Partnership, and that is a group that was formed between the jail diversion coordinator out of the Concord District Court and Central Massachusetts Police Departments, and they are bringing offering to assist in bringing in a substance use prevention program called If Only. There's actually it's a film that was sponsored by the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation and actually produced by a Wahlberg brother, Jim Wahlberg, who is in long-term recovery himself. And so it's a film that they tout as protecting our children from the opioid epidemic. So the film was actually shot in Tewksbury, and it follows a group of kids who go to a party and come upon pills, and the party is you have to bring pills with you and you put them in a bowl, and then when it's your turn you have to take a handful of pills and take them. And they one of the kids ultimately continues to take the medications, and his mother discovers that he has been using drugs, and so she immediately acts upon that by bringing him into treatment and rehabilitation, and then trying also to share the information with the parents of his friends who are also participating. And I won't spoil the film, I'm hoping you all come, but we'll follow it with a panel discussion, and the panelists that will be on the committee or on the panel are a recovery counselor, a parent of a girl who died of a heroin overdose while she was, I believe it was at Boston College in nursing, in the nursing program. And we have representatives from the 3 local police departments. Dr. Graham will sit on the panel as well. And then we also have 2, we're hoping that 2 former students of Neshoba who are currently in long-term recovery will also be on the panel as well. So they will be able to provide a little bit of information on their own stories, and also then answer questions. So that is on Thursday, May 11th at the high school.
This May 11th?
This May 11th, yeah.
That's fast.
At the high school.
How are we letting people know?
We just had our final meeting today to iron out all of these details, and so we'll be blasting from here out. We're going into newspapers, and we'll be sending information out through email and posting on websites and social media.
And what time will it be?
So at 5:30, from 5:30 to 6:30, we're actually going to have we'll have a variety of people who are local support. Learn to Cope is coming, probably potentially one of the recovery high schools, and Spectrum Healthcare and some other places where there are treatment facilities. And we'll also have what's called Hidden in Plain Sight, and some of you may have had the opportunity to see that, which is a mock-up of a teenager's bedroom that is stocked with all sorts of drug concealment items that are marketed to kids. And that's only open to parents, and because we obviously don't want kids to go through and see what these ways to hide things. So that will be only open to parents, but it'll be you can walk through and tour and talk to someone who will be covering that. So that's 5:30 to 6:30. The film itself actually starts at 6:30. It's about a little more than a half an hour long, and then we'll have our panel discussion and question and answers afterwards.
And is this open to parents, students?
Parents, right, and we are going to also be encouraging that parents of middle schoolers come and bring their middle school students. We do have a letter that's a little bit cautionary because there is a death by overdose, and there is a funeral scene, and so we'll caution parents to make sure that if they have children who are sensitive or who are vulnerable, that they are aware of that before they bring their kids. And then we'll be actually presenting the entire package again to all of the high school students on the 12th, the following day. So the high school will also have the presentation on the 12th.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so that is coming. And then on Wednesday, May 17th, from 2:30 to 7, also at the high school, the School Health Advisory Council, which is our district health and wellness council, is sponsoring a health and wellness expo called Just for the Health of It. And we have people coming from a wide variety of people coming to provide demonstrations and information and activities and all kinds of really neat things based on safety and wellness and health and basic information. And our school nutrition program is providing a pasta dinner free for families who come, so that you can come and not have to worry about dinner, and you can come and spend the evening with us.
So is that open to all?
Everybody.
So I don't want to make you crazy, but I think it'd be kind of cool, because there are families in town whose kids don't go to our school. So could it be open to
anybody, but the community, where we would hope anybody will come.
Okay.
Anybody will come.
That'd be great.
Yes. So that goes out into advertising. I think Alita already has it on our website, and we've invited all the faculty and staff and so forth. And so that, again, it'll be out to the public as well.
Thank you. Lynn.
So a lot of this is happening after school or during an assembly or something?
A lot of which?
All of your programs, as far as the
last two are in the evening.
The last two in the evening.
Right.
But even with these over here, where you said you're going to take them up, a month at a time.
Yes.
Are these happening after school and just as an assembly type thing, or?
Well, it depends on the topic. So a lot of them will. I'm hoping to have an evening presentation for each of those 6 topics as well. And then during the day, during that month, at some point, again, if we can find an appropriate assembly or some sort of a program for students, we will bring that in as well, or try to coordinate with what they're already learning in their health curriculum during that period.
That's what I'm wondering, because social emotional learning, we haven't done much with that I could figure out, and it's really important. And a lot of people have sports or jobs or whatever after school, or they're just tired. So I don't know what we do in health class. I don't know how that works at all, but I mean, it makes more sense to get those worked into the school day as part of the curriculum.
Yes.
I mean, I can't think of your job, but
I think that one of the things that Donna has mentioned in the past is, this year is like a stopgap, right? I mean, you're pulling together a program, but I think we talked about this being the first of an ongoing process, broader commitment.
I think we need to listen to Melissa.
Yes.
If we can.
So my segue
That'll answer some
you
things.
had asked about where we are going. Are we focusing just on the high school? What are we doing? So, and I think I mentioned again when I was here that we have health class.
Yes.
It goes all the way through 8th grade.
Yep.
And then we have it for one semester, half a semester in 10th grade. But what happens to 9th and 11th and 12th and the rest of the time? And that we don't have a vehicle that we can present some of this information that kids really should be getting every single year.
Right.
So one of the ideas, and this would focus right at the high school and why Melissa is here, is the topic that she is going to talk to you about. Wow.
All right, so it worked out nicely. Last year, there was a group of teachers that came together. We had been talking about the stress level amongst the high school students and how it is skyrocketing at a rapid pace, and it's kind of making us nervous, and we're having a hard time figuring out how to adjust to the stress level and the demands on the kids within our classrooms. So we were looking and we were talking about something that's formalized that deals with student stress. And so at the end of last year, so in the spring, this group of teachers and administration, one guidance counselor, we came together and decided that this school year, 16-17, we would start to meet regularly to talk about how we can address student stress. Not just academics, community building and school culture, and really addressing the whole student. And it comes back to this idea of growth mindset and mindfulness and reaching every aspect of our kids, because they deal with this stuff all through elementary, and maybe not so much elementary because they're guided by their teachers, but when they get to the 8th grade and the middle schools, they have a formalized advisory program, but when they get to the high school, there's nothing, it stops. And like
Donna said, they have health class for just, I mean, is it a full semester?
It's a half a
Yeah, it's a
semester.
half a semester, so it's not even a full semester. So we started talking and we started meeting regularly this year. We've been meeting actually weekly. And we started off by looking at a ton of data. We looked at the NEASC report, which clearly stated that they recommended an advisory program, a program where every one of our kids meets regularly with a staff member, so they make a strong connection. And yes, they all have teachers. They all have several teachers they see every day, but it's practically impossible to make strong connections with every single one of our kids. So with the formalized program, it establishes a solid relationship that hopefully, if we meet frequently enough, it establishes pretty quickly, and it maintains throughout all of high school. So they would stay with this one person all 4 years. So we've looked at a lot of data, including, again, NEASC. We've looked at several surveys, including our senior exit survey that we do at the end of every year. One freshman exit survey that we did, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. And actually, out of that survey, many students on their own said that they would like to see a program where they have a designated staff member that they can see on a regular basis. We did not even pose the question. Kids wrote that answer in, which was astounding to us, that they, and many of them, use the word advisor or mentor in their answers and their responses. So that was mind-blowing. And of course, the YRBS data, it kind of magically all came together in this perfect time. Like, here we are meeting and talking about stress, and then Donna brings us the data, and we're like, oh my God, like, we can't just let this go. We have to do something about it. Especially the suicide data was alarming for us, and the stress data and the substance abuse data was alarming for us. So it just worked out perfectly that all of this came together this year as we were doing our research. In addition to that, several people in the group have gone out to other schools to talk to advisors. One group went to Fitchburg and they spoke with Jeremy Roach, and they sat in on advisory groups. They talked to students. Another group went to Revere, and then another group went to one of our middle schools. They went to Luther Burbank, and considering that program is fairly new, they wanted to get an idea of how it was implemented and the bumps in the roads that they experienced. And so we've done a lot of research, and now we're at the point where we're developing, let's say, a 3-year implementation plan. But we're hoping, we are definitely going to start focusing on freshmen next year. The transition piece is huge, and we started doing the new Chieftain Day the last couple of years at the end of the summer, and now we kind of want to take that and carry it into the school year and start with the freshmen. But we've determined, after all of our research, that we're going to use 4 different categories or 4 key areas that we want to focus on. So academic skills, post-secondary planning, social emotional learning, which of course comes out of Donna's data, and community building.
Oh,
and so
thank goodness. Community building, finally.
Seriously,
Thank you.
right? Yes.
Yeah.
So for academic, this is stuff like study skills and executive functioning skills, and especially for the freshmen, when they jump up to the high school, there's a bit of a gap, and so if we have more formalized curriculum around that, we're hoping that they can all get the same skills to work with as a foundation for the rest of high school. Post-secondary planning, college and career readiness, so we'll work hand in hand with guidance. And then social emotional learning, of course, those major topics that Donna just addressed with stress and suicide and substance abuse. But not only those things, but social etiquette. We're finding that kids can't make phone calls or write emails anymore, so we're hoping to do things like that. And then resiliency and mindfulness. And then community building. Community service is going to be really important for us. Right now, it's not a school-wide requirement. It's for National Honor Society, but we think it's huge when it comes to building school culture and fostering positive relationships.
It's huge because there's so many, these communities, people who don't have kids in our system, help our schools.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's time,
Yep.
right?
Yep, absolutely. Making connections. And a certain staff member came to us and said, this would be a fantastic opportunity to go around to the businesses in all 3 communities and say, what can we do to help you, and to help each other, and to really foster a more positive relationship, and to get them to think kind of beyond themselves, which is hard in the teenage years. So those are our 4 key areas that we want to focus on. And when it comes to implementing our plan, like I said, we're focusing on the freshmen next year, and we're building right now a formalized curriculum, and not going to reinvent the wheel. If we can find things that are great and that are working well in other places, we will definitely use that, but also considering what Neshoba's culture is like, and kind of being and how unique we are and starting to build on what we can find. In addition to that, we are going to create smaller homerooms for the freshmen next year. Right now, we look at homeroom numbers that are between 20 and 22, and we want to get them down to 10 to 12 per staff member. And if we figure if there are smaller groups, and we've done the numbers, Carrie's worked with us on making sure that we have enough staff to do this, and it works out well for next year. 10 to 12 is feasible. So that way, like, the teacher's not overwhelmed, and we can actually spend a good amount of time building relationships with our students. So
let her finish. Sorry, go ahead.
In regard to the schedule, we're not seeing a major change in our schedule right now at the high school because we already have activity periods about once a month, and they're about 40 to 45 minutes long. So we're looking to make them more frequent, so every other week for about 20 to 25 minutes. And we're hoping that the frequency increase, so meeting every other week and seeing them face-to-face every other week will make a difference instead of going a month before we see these kids. It's harder to build relationships and to get to know them when we only see them once a month. So it's not supposed to disrupt the schedule too much. In regard to training, people have been concerned about training. Again, we're not experts on much of this stuff, but we do want to provide training for staff that are going to help us out with this. So we're looking at summer academy time. That's already been put forth. And in addition to that, looking at time from the early release PD and the late start PD. So really taking advantage of everything that we have from the district to get going, and we just want to get started. We want to build some momentum. And then when it comes to the upperclassmen during this time, this activity period time, it will also be structured for them. So no one during this time will be sitting idle. This year we started doing more specific programming. So for instance, earlier in the year we had a presentation around students with special needs and getting to know our students with special needs and language that we should use when we're addressing our students with special needs. And again, that comes down to school culture and community building and making our kids more aware. And we have a fantastic Best Buddies program, but just because the program is great doesn't necessarily mean that all of our kids are familiar with how it works and who those kids are and what their lives are like. So that's where we're headed. And just for kicks, we wanted to show you that part of our research was finding this piece of information, that social emotional learning truly is impacting academics. In 213 studies involving more than 200,000 students, they have found that there are 11% academic gains because of formalized social emotional learning programming, which is fantastic. Not only are we seeing academic gains, but kids are just, the behavior is better and the stress is reduced. And they're just, again, we're looking at the whole student rather than just one piece of each student. So this is where we're going, and we're excited. And we've got quite a few teachers that are willing to step up next year to get going with the freshmen. So we're feeling like we're in a good place.
So when we do the first year?
So the classrooms, the small classrooms of 10 to 12 students per classroom, will that teacher be the mentor for that classroom?
For that classroom.
And she'll follow through with
the 4 years. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Oh, crazy. That's great. Neil.
So two quick things. Well, three quick things. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Those aren't the three right there. No, seriously. I mean, just kudos to the teachers for taking the time out and doing that. Thank you very much for addressing this. Thank you very much for making this a priority.
And your questions are.
Right. So one's a quick thing, and it's more a comment. So when you talk about community involvement, these three communities, we have pretty high taxes, high cost of living, and we have a ton of elderly that are living in these areas. The elderly are huge supporters of the schools by and far. And for maybe the students to be exposed to the elderly, I mean, we have people who
are asking,
things,
they're
everything
asking
from their houses are falling apart
Oh
because they need to live here, you know, they want to live here, to they might need just companionship, to, you know, shoveling in snow, things like that. So I mean, it's a huge resource for the schools if they want to help in that fashion. The other thing is, and it's not mentioned there, and I just want to see if it's being covered, and it may not at this point, but one of the things that really struck me on the Emerson study was dating violence. And it was, I think it was 10%, and then when we got to the higher grades, it was even higher than that. I want to say it was like 20% or so of the girls are reporting that they're exposed to dating violence. And to me, that's epidemic. And it also leads to a lot of the issues of the depression, the anxiety, and they may not necessarily want to talk about what's going on and so forth. So I'm just wondering, is there anything in this plan at this point that's going to address that, or is that on the radar?
So, not specifically, but I recall you mentioning that when we were here before, and that is something, the beauty of this model, I think, is that if we're taking a month or 6 weeks to look at a topic, we can address subtopics in those areas. So that would be perfect to put into the safety month.
Right.
And to try to look at that as well, and
Well,
violence
for
in
girls
general.
and boys,
You're right,
right?
violence in
Yeah.
general, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so yes, so absolutely we can look at having some resources, education, information that goes out as well.
I just have a quick question about the mentor program. Is it going to be fairly flexible, because we all know sometimes you don't click with somebody, and that's a huge, especially,
Right.
no, it's
No.
true.
Yeah.
It's true.
You're right.
And some people, is it going to be, there going to be some flexibility, because some kids just won't have a rapport with a teacher and might with somebody else.
We've talked a lot about that. It's been a concern that we've discussed frequently, and I would like to say yes, that we have to figure out a way that kids can feel comfortable with. I mean, if we want to make this connection with a staff member and the student, then we have to figure out how to be flexible. So that's the hope.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
One question. I'm curious about the homeroom arrangements, because I know spaces at a premium in the high
Yes,
school, and you have at least I'm told there's one homeroom that's in the auditorium or some other large space, because it happens.
Oh, in
or
the hallway
maybe it's
of the
gymnasium. I don't know what it is, but
auditorium?
it's my understanding that people have their homerooms based on what a particular class that they happen to be scheduled for. And I'm just curious if it happens to be in one of those large classrooms, there are no, can it be designed so there are no freshmen in that large room, whichever location that group is in?
Perry could probably speak better to that than I can, but we've thought about that. We've thought about spaces being an issue, but we're hoping that with the smaller groups and utilizing not just classrooms like computer labs, there's a space there's several, we'll say, partitioned spaces in the media center that we could utilize that allows for some privacy. The staff room. So we know we're going to have to be creative. When we get to have more groups, that because we want them to be smaller, it's going to be more challenging. So
Actually, it implies to
Also
me
staff
it's a
is-
whole different
that we
regime for
consider-
homeroom, because you're not going to do it on a schedule. I mean, how do you get your freshmen in one homeroom when you have 20 rooms worth?
So we're in the weeds right now, I think. Not to, I know this is your gig,
Right.
but I think we're in the weeds and we're gonna trust that they're gonna work it out.
yes.
You see, and,
I'm kind of familiar
are
with
you
this.
going down in the weeds too?
I'm just familiar with it. But,
Okay.
and it does work, and it doesn't matter, like, the space isn't the issue. I mean, the space is the issue because you want them to connect together. But in some schools, they do meet in the hall, because that's, yeah, it's what's available, and it doesn't matter the space, it's that they're together.
Right.
And that they have a connection, and they do games, and they do team building things. And so the homeroom as we know it, where it's, take attendance and do what you want, is going to change. It's now structured. It's now, you will do these team building things. You will do and find where you fit. And it's actually kind of funny. I mean, they end up with some pretty good things happening.
We might use the auditorium for 6 homerooms.
Right.
In different spaces,
Right.
as long as
It
they're
doesn't matter.
near one another and can work together.
Right.
Yeah, because it's now the group, not the space. It's they're changing the definition of homeroom.
Of homeroom.
So, okay, I think we're, you've got a comment?
I just want to say thank you again so much to you. And I remember, Donna, when we first, even before the Emerson survey came out, I think you and I were talking about what does this look like, particularly at the high school. So the work that your group is doing, Melissa, is just so exciting. And again, I thank you both so much for your work in this area. It's just great. Again, I will put a little caution in there. in order for us to be successful and sustainable with it, let's take our time and do a good job. I don't want to go all out there to the district-wide right now. Let's make sure that we're successful and take it off, and so that take it off in pieces that we can replicate across the district, as opposed to doing district-wide right now. I think it's very exciting. I love that you're being so thoughtful in your approach. And it was interesting because you actually had this information up on the slide that day as well, I remember, in the auditorium. And I remember thinking how powerful it was. So hats off to both of you. Thank you so much for your work in this area.
So in three last things. Awesome. Awesome. Neil, that was awesome. Yeah.
As somebody who's been very irritated with all the information that we've been gathering and doing nothing with, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really
We appreciate your support as well.
Thank you
because
so much.
You
Obviously,
have it.
it's something
You
very close to
definitely
our
have
heart,
it.
Yes.
and to know that you all support it is, and see the importance of it, it's really.
And will you come back and let us know how it's going and where you're seeing you might need to make adjustments, what you might need from us? This is a huge topic for the entire community, and a cultural shift has to happen. That doesn't mean that there's a problem with the culture. It means that people need to stop and realize the significance of all of the things that are happening to these little people, even if they're 17 years old. We're asking them to do so much. I do research, generational research for my day job. I actually do have a day job, but one of the things that they said was that students are now being asked to, in order to get into college, they have to go to apply to college with professional experience already. So that's like that's what's coming in this generation, the I generation, the Z generation. That's what's coming. So we all know how much stress these kids are under. We all know how much stress their parents are under. And this is what we're looking at. In order for them to get into the school of their choice, coming now is that they've got to have professional experience. So thank you. And Nicole, you had a comment.
I just want to again stress.
Awesome.
How imperative it is that you get the buy-in of the families, because that's where the real culture
exactly
starts, and that's the hardest, single hardest thing to do.
So you know what, you when we were going through this, I was thinking, but so we have these events, but are the people that need to go aware and going? And if the answer is no, we're not sure, or no, then what are other districts doing to support?
Right. So our hope is that we will connect with some of these experts that we hope to invite to come in, and that we'll work with our journalism clubs at the high school and videotape. And then at least have that available so that those who can't, and as Lynn said, it's true, everyone is busy. They have
can't
their
or
lives.
want,
They can't
don't
get
want.
there or don't, exactly. But that there'll be some availability for them to check back, or if they really want to attend and can't that evening, that they have a way to review whatever it is that presentation is. And also, again, that's not the only way we're going to present information. The thought is that we'll also be sending home
that
materials.
homeroom idea
exactly
is going to be huge. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for your time.
Wow. Mrs. Snedeker is a history teacher, and she's awesome.
Introduction of myself.
She's awesome, and our kids love her. So there you have it.
Thank you.
I thought maybe she was guidance.
Thank you. Nope, she's not guidance. Okay. So we've got some subcommittee reports. Before I jump into finance, Kathy's not here, so we don't need to do that one. Mark, you have an advisory.
I don't have any further report.
Okay, so we've got
Do we have to discuss?
3. So finance, Neil, share with us.
So we had another big meeting today.
You're supposed to be slowing down now.
No, this is we need to be able to hit all our goals at the end. So part of
you don't have to hit them all.
No, we do. And part of the corrective action plan review, so we took a look at that earlier today, with the perspective of what do we need for policy recommendations from finance that we would then send to policy, and then they can figure out and do all that, which will be the next big meaty project in order to secure everything that's been done, right? Brooks in the administration's done a fantastic job, but now we need to have it continue. So we need to build that framework around all the stuff that Brooke has put together. So then, it perpetuates itself and it's not just a one-off. So we did that. Tom Hool for food service gave like sort of an update on some finances and so forth with us preliminarily, and it was fantastic stuff with Mosaic and so forth.
So what kinds of things? Share with us. Do you remember?
Well, I think we'd like to.
They're going to come in.
Yeah, we'd like to bring them into the
It was
school.
a preliminary presentation to try to figure out what we thought would be good information. They did. So it's
great. It'll be all feeding into you folks.
See what I mean?
And then extended day, same thing. So we wanted to sort of take a look at extended day and where that, and they got some, again, some more, because there's more, looking into the whole ball wax thing and everything, but some fantastic, really innovative ideas for some of the future perspective things that they're looking to do that make a lot of sense. And I think parents would be, who might be involved in it, would be pretty excited to see. It's simple but smart things,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for them to come to the full school committee now.
It was mostly just to go through the presentation to try to see if it had the information we felt would be pertinent for the school committee to see, and there were some typos that we fixed and some presentation issues. So I think when they come, you guys are going to be very pleased.
Cool. You sure you don't want to stay?
Yeah.
And they're redoing,
watch
basically
TV.
food services redoing the way that they're doing some report outs, because they report with encumbrances, and it becomes almost like, bizarro world when you're trying to read the numbers. It's a reverse sort of fashion, bookkeeping, accounting fashion that they're changing it, making it understandable.
Yeah. I think going to Mosaic has just made such a huge difference, and actually our extended day now is also using parts of Mosaic as well. So that was the new software that we put in, that we were hoping to originally put it in January, February. We got it in, I think, end of November, early December. So we exceeded our own expectations in that area.
The new staff person, the importance of
Has
that.
been huge. The new staff person. Yeah.
Okay.
So they'll talk about
Those
about
are all
that.
things that they've approached, and I think you guys will be very pleased when they come.
One takeaway on a fiscal perspective is we still need to have that policy put in place for outstanding non-payments, because right now we don't have a policy that's in place, so it becomes difficult for food service to act or react to people who just aren't paying. And we're not talking about people that don't necessarily have the means to pay, they're just not paying. And we're in the thousands of dollars again for that.
So that one needs to go on policies.
Yeah, I think
first.
that would be a J, right? Wouldn't that be a student?
You're so good.
I don't know, but we need to fast track. So if you guys have a list of policies from a finance perspective.
Yeah, we went through D. We went through the D, and there were a couple of policies that we sent to finance. Today we met and we came up with some specific questions, hoping that we can get the changes to Dorothy, so she can make those changes too. Are you suggesting adding policies?
Yes, so what we have, and we can have this discussion right now. So what we have is recommendations from Forensic Audit and MASBO.
Yep.
And a cursory look, a lot of what MASC has does not cover those specific policies. A lot of them are intended to create framework for a protocol that Brooke would then set up. And that's what we would be bringing forward is actually for the intent of either find something if some other district is doing like a like-kind thing, or perhaps creating something so that Brooke, again, in partnership, has legs to stand on for, the protocol and so forth.
So that really is a function of policy, but you guys.
We're identifying the fiscal components that perhaps policy wants to then.
Policy does not want to put forward any policies that are not going to be at least somewhat agreed with. And policy needs guidance from the finance committee.
Which is where that's exactly where I was going.
Policy has put put forward certain policies and looking for guidance from the finance committee.
Right.
And then when it comes to these new policies that are going to be built from
They
whole
might be
cloth,
scratch, yeah.
I shouldn't say we anymore, policy is going to need guidance from FinCom of what they are looking for.
So that's where
Yeah.
Susan, yeah.
Well, I did keep I was, when we went through A through D, I did keep those recommendations from the audit in mind, and I thought we had addressed them all in the review of the policies, but clearly I must have missed something.
No, so not necessarily. So what
Okay.
we're going to do is, on Wednesday when we're meeting, we're going to be compiling a list of recommended policies for fiscal. We'll be presenting that probably to school committee that night or the following school committee, and then that would then disseminate over to policy if everyone thinks that's a great
So
idea.
you guys would want to identify what's the purpose of the policy,
Right.
and what are the sub-bullets that create, not creating the policy, but why do we need it?
Right.
And it can't just be because the forensic audit says we need it. There has to be a reason from a business perspective, right? But I want to, okay, so that makes sense. I want to go back to, so extended day and food service went to finance for what? What was the purpose of?
They had requested, that was one of the things that the finance subcommittee had requested, is that, but it was looking at the fiscal component,
Follow up
where
on the
they would
fiscals.
follow up. And it was real, I think this is the first time they've gone to you all year, right? I think you
We
had
didn't really
them.
participate in the budget process for them, and so we were belatedly desiring to talk with them about their financial operations.
So I need to get something straight in my own head, because like this, I mean, we go back and forth on this all the time. I think that type of a discussion belongs here, because I would like to hear, I don't know if you would, I know Kathy would like to hear the update from food service. I would like to hear the update from extended day, from the people who run the program, not filtered up.
I don't sense that it is filtering up, because we have every intention, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but I certainly have every intention of bringing them to full school committee.
Yeah.
So
they put together, the presentations that they put together today were for the school committee, not for us. We wanted the finance. We wanted the financial. So food services last year, if you remember, there was we were running deficits, we were all over the place. We wanted to get an earmark, because during the budget process, like Mark said, we never brought food service in, because we just didn't have the time with the forensic audit and everything.
Right.
So we're reviewing where things were in relation to last year, like how are things year over year, et cetera, with regard to that.
Yeah.
How is Mosaic working? Are you truly saving money with the investment that's been made, et cetera? So that
So
perspective.
is that conversation going, see, so this is where I either I'm not getting it, or you're not getting it, or you're not getting it, because those conversations occurred at the school committee level too.
Sure.
The school committee needs to be brought up to speed on where do those things stand. And I don't understand why it's not coming to the school committee.
I think you just need to wait 2 or 3 weeks, Lorraine. This was not an intention to be.
No, there's no intention. There's no intention. Understand that when it was brought to the school committee, it's not me, it's not Lynn, it's not Susan, it's the community. So where are we going? I'm confused.
Well, and Mosaic was, if you're going to talk about whether Mosaic was worth it or not, that was one of the things we said. When you bring Mosaic in, and you bring that person in to run Mosaic for those 2 programs, what do we gain? Was it worth it? Is it something that we're going to move forward on? Because that was part of
The whole program.
Right, because that was part of the, I'm just taking that piece
Yeah,
of it. That we had talked about it when we agreed to them, that we want to make sure that it was measurable and it was benefiting the district. We weren't just throwing and buying programs and people, and it doesn't work. And I think that's where the confusion is with you. I'm not part of it.
Yeah.
Well, there's two different components, and maybe we do need to have a broader conversation on this, but, so the financial aspect is what we're taking a look at and drilling down. So even for the presentation perspective, there would have been, in my opinion, there would have been a problem and a bunch of confusion with one of the presentations because of the way that the numbers were put together.
But
They
that's
were very-
Brooke's responsibility.
No, I get that, but when we're looking at it, it's the way that it's being reported, it's the way that food service reports. This is just the way they do this. So we then looked at that and said, you know, this is going to be a point of confusion for everyone who would look at that. Can you just, and it's just tweaking the numbers and turning them around so that it makes common sense, like you're looking at like truly like more like a profit or loss, profit loss statement type of thing. And that makes more sense. And so in my mind, and I could be dead wrong in this, but in my mind, it's kind of good that it filters through and then goes to the school. It's not like we're making decisions or anything, but we're actually helping with that process so that when it gets to the school committee, it's much more effective and you're able to do things without wasting the time and having the confusion and 20 questions just for
I would
something
say
easily
that
be
also, we asked for more information than they had presented. So in that case, what they're going to bring to us, to the larger committee, is more
substantive.
So that's part
So
of, I
I
think,
don't
what the
want you
finance
guys to
subcommittee
feel that you
job
have to
is.
defend that there's a problem. That's not it. And I'll work with Brooke on this. My concern is that there were initiatives that were put in place that need to come back around.
Right.
Oh,
We weren't reviewing initiatives. We were looking at
No.
finance.
I mean, even with Mosaic, like Lynn said, we make the investment. Yeah, so you and I will work on it
Yeah.
together.
And to be clear, Mosaic was not presented. The question was asked, how's Mosaic going when the president, we were looking at the numbers and how's
Yeah.
Mosaic going?
But then that's a reasonable question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's good, Lynn.
As far as the financial going, making
policies.
recommendation to policy, we can't be the only one having an issue with people not paying for their lunches. Whatever, if that's the issue.
Oh, you mean as far as other districts?
Well, I would think that there's a policy already written through MASC, because everybody provides lunch and everyone has payments. I mean, there must be something already written.
And we'll see,
It just might be a question for Dorothy. It might be as easy as that.
Nope, yeah, she sends in advance the section that will be reviewed. So. And I can look into it before then to see if.
So.
Yeah, I think we need it before the end of the school year.
Yeah, without going too far down the rabbit hole on that, so one of the things is, when we do the policy, we have to worry about apparently, have you heard the term food shaming? Or lunch shaming? So what happens is you have a policy, I'm serious,
Yeah.
so you put a policy together, and then this child's account is now $100, $200, whatever, dollars in arrears, and they say, I'm sorry, we can't give you your luxurious meal that you just had.
You can have a cheese
You
sandwich.
can have a cheese sandwich and a
And
cup
that
of milk,
happens at
or
checkout
whatever
once
it
they already
is.
have their luxurious
Right, so they
lunch.
take the lunch away that the student had, they give this, and then what ends up happening is, and this is the new thing, right? So then this becomes some sort of reportable thing that ends up in the newspaper. You're taking lunches away from children, you're putting in
Shaming
there.
them.
So you need to be politically sensitive to everything that's going on with that, or there's just going to be yet another tsunami. So we have to put this together in a thoughtful way that addresses the fact that maybe there are students who aren't in the reduced lunch program or free lunch program, but maybe families have come upon hard times post the application process or don't know about it. So we need to have a
Don't
process
quite
put in
make it
place
'cause
that sensitively allows them to react, while at the same time, there are people who just don't make the payment because, hey, I don't need to make the payment. And those are the people that we need to be addressing. And we need to do that, I think, a little more on a collection scale and less on a compassionate, right?
But again, it sounds like it's a real concern, and I would think that MASC has already addressed it in some.
But I think it's one of those things that it's so specific to each school district, they're not going to have a boilerplate policy.
Well, I think the deal is,
I haven't-
see what MASC's got, and then she may know other districts. But anyway, all right, thank you for
Right,
that.
so I'm sorry to go down that rabbit hole.
No,
but
you
that's what
didn't.
we're
It was
looking at
actually
for that,
something
so.
I wasn't aware of. Were you guys?
We haven't had it yet. Oh, yes.
Really?
You were?
He was.
Were you
It's a hot
shamed?
topic
Were
for
you
us.
shamed?
Wow.
For the finance committee.
Oh,
These
for finance.
these are the things we worried about it for a year and a half. So-
Yeah.
This is what we do.
No.
All right.
No.
Policy, are you scared? Susan, are you want to give us an update, or are you kind of like, I'm not talking about anything?
No, we just, like I said, we came up with specific questions for finance to hopefully make it easier for them to get back to us on those policies that we needed guidance on. And then Donna will be coming to the meeting when Dorothy comes for Section J, because there's a lot of those policies tying to the work that she's been doing this year.
Okay.
I guess my concern is that we put the time into making the changes to Section J prematurely. So if you're thinking, well, she's already starting on. Okay. So yeah.
But I don't know that there's a problem. I think that these are additional.
They're additional, they're not, yeah.
They're, that work still needs to keep moving. But I think these are
district specific.
Yeah.
And any additional that you have from today, if you forward to me, I will send it
There are
on
no
to the rest.
additional, just the existing ones.
All right, yeah, then we'll have a reply
At what
for you
point are we
next week.
reviewing policies? Because I haven't reviewed.
Well, we can't. She can't make the edits until we tell her what we want to
So
go.
when are we going to start? When we're going to start?
As soon as we get the guidance from her. I'll get them.
Oh no,
to
I
her.
mean the other sections. Because isn't she going?
She's been doing them in chunks. The A, B, C, D. Yeah.
So
A and B, she was going to. We met when we did the way the process worked was A and B. We met. We discussed all the changes that we thought were appropriate.
Yeah.
She went, revised, brought those back, said, here are the changes you thought. We looked at those last time. So she's fixing that.
Okay.
Yep. D and C we looked at last time. That we did.
You did.
The-
Okay,
yes,
good. Because I don't.
We did.
Okay.
The subcommittee did. And so I guess it takes like a few meetings to, am I making myself clear?
Yeah, you
The
are.
final part
Yeah.
that's gonna come. Yes. It's like a
You're a teacher. I totally get you.
It's a multi-step editing process. So we suggest the initial revision, she makes the changes, we review the changes.
And then you
tweak
bring them here.
And then she'll come and then but it's just in form, right?
That's okay.
And just a couple of sections at a time.
And that's okay too. Because
So
I'm
next
just
time
feeling
she
like.
should have A and B ready for us. I don't know that but the problem is we meet right before the May 10th, so I don't know. I mean, we could put it tentatively on the agenda for the May 10th regular school committee meeting. And then if it's ready
to go.
before, then we could vote on it that night.
Cool.
You could do
A
that.
and B. Okay.
Yeah, you could do that. I just want to make sure I'm not, because when we're sitting down building the agendas, I'm thinking, I'm like, should I be, I just
Nothing
need you
is
to
ready.
tell
Yes,
me
yeah.
when we need to get these on the agenda.
And just give us an.
I just wrote it. Thank you.
So A and B would be.
And they're going to be
Next.
the whole sections.
I know, that's
So-
what scares me.
And so that's what I'm saying. If when and if you put it on the agenda, not if, when you do, you are going to have to give it some time.
Yes.
So-
that's true.
so
So you might not
That
want to
agenda,
do A
yeah.
and B together. You might just want to do A, even though A and B will be ready.
But I think Nicole's got a point, because let's face some facts. We're in crunch time, trying to get to the end of the year. We have goal-setting session at the end of June. And these policies, we need more than 2 days to
Yeah, so
review.
It might be more realistic than once we, on May 10th. Yeah,
I'll be thinking of you.
we'll have those ready for distribution, so you can look at them maybe for the May 24th. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because May 10th is 2 weeks.
Load us
now,
up. If you
so-
give us 2 weeks, you should be able to load us up.
For A and B.
Yeah.
It's not that much.
I'm just relieved we're finally getting these policies revised. It's okay, great, thank you. Okay, CPAC, Nicole,
I did not receive an update.
she did not receive an update. And I think that's it, so we're up to the superintendent's report. We're running a little late, I'm sorry.
Just a couple of quick things that I'm going to ask Anne Marie Stoika to come to the table to help me out here. There is no formal report this evening. Of course, we had last week off, so it tended to be more housekeeping things in my world. But I thought we would bring Anne Marie in and just update us on our principal searches and let us know where we're at with that, because a lot has happened since our last.
A lot has
our last
happened. We're
meeting.
very busy. Last meeting, you may or may not recall, I talked about the process that we were going through, both for the Hill principal and for the high school principal, the parent and staff surveys, the convening of a committee of parents, teachers, Unit C administrators, interviews and the identification of finalists, and then a meeting for the parents and for the faculty and staff with those finalists, an interview with Brooke and her principals, and then ultimately some vetting references and a selection. Hale, we did that. We interviewed 6 candidates. We came up with finalists, and they went through those steps. Brooke made an offer, and we are happy.
We are thrilled. We are absolutely thrilled. So we have a contract in place with a gentleman named Kyle Grady, and he was, when we went through the entire process, it was his name that kept coming through at every level. So we're thrilled to have him on board. Effective July 1st, we'll start some transition dates along the way here through the month of May and June. Patrick has agreed to help support him along the way, so I think we've got everything really nicely laid out. I did visit with some of the staff, quite a few of the staff members actually, who are thrilled. So I think it's win-win on every front, so we're really, really delighted with that.
High school, we just exactly the same thing. The committee looked at the applicants. We interviewed 8 candidates for the high school Monday night and tonight.
Which is why she was so late coming in tonight.
And then after the last interview tonight, the committee deliberated and discussed the candidates. The next steps will be exactly the same as Hale. We'll present some finalists to Madam, the superintendent, and there'll be an event for the parents. It'll be a little bit at the high school. We'll have parents, faculty, and staff, and we'll have students that will each have an opportunity to meet with the candidate, ask questions, and send their thoughts along for Brooke to consider. Then Brooke will meet with the finalists and the principals, and then will come the vetting and references, and we will get as lucky. This time we were, the committee members tonight ended the meeting by saying how pleased they were with the quality of the applicants, that we're getting. And from Hale, and a couple of them tonight too, they also were expressed pleasure and satisfaction with the process itself, with the way they were treated during the process and all that. So that was very nice to hear, even from some of the unsuccessful candidates in Hale. So that was nice.
Yes, that's true too. Yeah, I would say the same thing. I've heard nothing but positives about the process for Hale, certainly because that's all finished now. So I think that the process that we took, I feel very comfortable with the process that we took, and I feel very comfortable with the selection because I don't want to say it was unanimous, but it was such a push that for this one candidate that you feel really good when you can say, yes, we've now got that candidate signed.
When does Mr. Grady start?
July 1st. So
that's where we are tonight. So we've not had a chance to debrief, so I'm very excited as soon as our committee meeting is.
I know something you don't know.
I'm very, very excited.
I want to know too!
We'd be texting right
we
now.
all want to know! Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. So just a couple of quick things. So I said, had alluded to the fact that we were also doing some housekeeping last week. The budget books, as you know, went out, and I'm really pleased with the quality of the budget book, and we've received some very positive feedback on it. And so I would say we've got a nice template to work from. We can tweak it for next year, do whatever we want, but I feel that the foundational piece, the foundational document was really, really good. It was such a team effort. I mean, I know Pat's office, Michelle Cody especially, deserves a lot of credit. I know it was our vision, but she made our vision come alive. So hats off to Michelle. Also want to give kudos to Michelle, who worked so hard on the brochure, which has also gone out. That's a lot of brochures to work with, and we had an excellent printing company that worked in correlation with us, and so thrilled that that's out as well. Last night, just want to mention, over with, yes. It was a lot of work to come to the end of that journey, I'm not going to lie, for both the brochure and the budget book. It was a lot of work. So it does feel good. Now that it's finished, it does feel good that it's over with. I wanted to mention last night, I know that Mark Jones was in Stowe last night talking about, and that went very well, and I know Chairman Romosco and Neil Darcy were both at the Bolton meeting last night. I thought that went very, very well as well. And so hats off to our school committee members for their work, at those meetings and explaining some difficult and complex interweaving of all kinds of numbers and concepts. So hats off to everyone who did such a great job. I just want to make my last comment is just to send out a very special thank you to both Nicole and Jennifer for your efforts, and for somebody new coming in and having you there to be able to tap into. I know with your policy work and such, I really appreciated everything that you brought to the table. And Jennifer, with all of those countless hours with regards to the finance subcommittee,
with these two
with
boys,
the budget, with everything. I mean, you were just amazing. So I really think that, I say this unabashedly, and I say this with all authenticity. This is a great school committee. This is a great school committee. We were having this, actually Don Lowe and I were talking about this just briefly the other day, saying we appreciate the fact that this is not a school committee that with agendas. And, it holds true for every one of you. And to help, for somebody new coming in, to help provide the historical context or the political context or the fiscal context, you are all there. And so this team now is losing 2 members. And for me, it's a loss. So I just want to put out, you've left big shoes to fill here. So thank you so much for all the work that you've both done. Thank you. That's why we
really didn't have to leave.
That being said, can I ask about your evaluation? That's the last thing that Nicole and I have to do technically, and we're supposed to get it done by May 8th, right?
No, by the next school committee meeting, I
No,
thought.
May 8th, we're no longer on
Well,
school
yeah.
committee. But
No, but
May
didn't
9th. We have until the 9th.
the 9th.
Didn't we
Till the other people are sworn in.
Yes.
So, where were we on that? Do we have a summative evaluation?
I thought at the last meeting that we agreed, and I don't know if we voted on it.
Can I answer?
Okay, yes, please.
For me, sure.
I've been worried.
Sure, you can answer for me. Go ahead.
I believe Brooke was supposed to get something in by May 1st.
Okay, that was the May 1st.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was all I
Yes.
needed, thank you. So we're on for that?
But Kathy's the one who's managing that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
she's
you
not
So I
back
better check
until-
with Kathy's what I'm thinking.
And she's out of town until Sunday.
Right.
So God bless. But anyway, but I thought
But that is
we
my
had
last.
agreed that you guys, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things that the 2 of us need to be proactive on making sure we get ours in
Yeah.
a timely fashion.
So you're getting.
I'll do the follow-up.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because you're getting something.
Okay?
Lord, all right, correspondence, it was quiet.
It was very quiet.
Oh, we were on break.
We for vacation.
All right, well, thank you for that. Consent agenda considered, unless there's an issue. Meeting minutes are good, warrants are good, guys. Mark, Neil, Jennifer?
Yep.
Okay. All right, well then at that point then, I'll take a motion to go into
We can do executive session.
executive session.
What's up with this?
Did you read the
Business!
Actually,
I didn't read the bottom of the
Could
agenda.
I just ask a sort of agenda setting question? I don't think we have dates for June set, do we?
They're not posted.
The 10th and the 24th.
10th and the 24th? Okay.
Or are they
No,
now?
that's voted at the next meeting in your organization.
Yeah, because we gotta validate the day of the week.
You
and-
don't know what the 2 new members are.
Well, we're not prevented from deciding our calendar now.
Well, I think it would be respectful to wait for our new people to be inclusive.
My calendar is very empty.
Well, then hold the 10th and the 24th. Lord. So Jennifer, will you please move us into executive session and we will not be returning to.
I move that we enter executive session for the purpose of reviewing executive session minutes of January 18th, February 1st, February 8th, February 27th, March 1st, and March 29th.
February 6th, but yes.
Is it?
Thank you, and not to return.
February 6th, right, okay. Not to return in regular session.
All right,
Not that everybody's in this.
in a second.
Second.
And Mr. Darcy's not here, so what do I do in that event?
We need
He's
to
fine.
summon
We
you.
got our
quorum.
quorum.
Aye.
Nicole, this
We'll
is
talk slowly. Yes.
this is her last one to say yes. And Susan?
I
I don't know that I was present at any of those.
You were.
I was.
You
Okay,
were,
so
and you
then
know what I'll do? The ones
that.
that you shouldn't be present at,
Yeah.
We'll do a second.
we can have you walk out.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So you're a yes.
Okay. Very good.
Are you a yes?
Oh, I am a yes. Yes.
You're a
Oh,
yes.
sorry. I didn't
I'm a
realize.
yes.
we were
Oh
rolling.
my
Sorry.
God. I'm a yes. John,
Yes.
John, Mark.
Bird.
Wow.
Yes.
And Lynn.
Yes.
And Jennifer. I almost called you Susan. All right. Wow.